things forward and positive and top down. I don't want to get caught up in negative rhetoric or fear or any of that stuff. It's the time for all of that has come and gone. So whoever's on the call tonight is leading the world forward into a new era. So we're not going to go backwards a lick tonight. We're only going to go forward. So if you have questions that are forward-thinking or forward-looking, more than happy to answer them. If you're still in fear or concern or doubt, perhaps you should sit this one out. And hello, Edward. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Isn't it just absolutely awesome? Oh, my goodness, that we're in a total new dimension. I could feel this here when I got up Monday morning. I mean, it was just a total difference in the atmosphere. As a matter of fact, Eduardo and I spoke about that. You know, it's like we just could feel the difference. And I have a couple of other people that I talked to. We all felt the different energy in the atmosphere. So
let's look
to be here.
Yeah, let's look at that, sister, because the vernal equinox or the spring equinox marched in on the 20th in the morning, which would be Monday. And perhaps that's what you're feeling is literally a transition of the earth from majority dark to majority light, albeit a small percentage. And it grows and grows over time until it obviously gets to the fall equinox, which would be the reversal of that. It starts to get darker and darker and darker. So that's just the way the earth works, but it's also the way the universe works. And in the big wheel, as the Inca calendars used to say, there's 25,800 years in a cycle or a turn of the giant wheel, and there are 12 zodiac constellations within that, which leaves you with about 2,150 years per zodiac cycle. The Piscean or Pisces era, nobody really knows exactly when it started, but and because the calendars change from the solar lunar calendar, the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, especially here in the West, nobody really knows what the heck's going on. So while they say it's year 2017, we might be in a completely different year. But if you listen to the song that you played, Let the Sunshine In, Fifth Dimension, it talks about how the transition of eras from Pisces to Aquarius lets the sunshine in. And it's a transfer of eras or a transition of eras. And I think that's what we've always tried to talk about here, is that being prepared for the spiritual transition of the energy in order to properly participate and move gracefully into the new era. So we are leaving Pisces and moving into Aquarius, or we already have. And the fulfillment of a time where harmony and understanding abound, and the release of the mind's enslavement. And I think that's what you're seeing working out right now in all forms: military, diplomacy, the media, finance, all of the sins and lies that have been covered up over the years, all the false flag attacks and the physical trafficking of women and children, and the sexual sins, and all of that's kind of coming to the surface in the new age of light, or the Aquarius age, which is the water bearer, the divine feminine water bearer. So whether you're into astrology, not into astrology, or you can just sense that something's changed, it's a good understanding, or at least starting to understand not only what has transpired and what is transitioned, but also not only what is to come, but also your involvement of creating and manifesting what is to come for yourself, your family, your communities, and your country, your continent, and your planet, and your universe. So again, I've always spoken about transition versus transaction, but I'd like to now speak about transition in a past tense, as I feel we already are on the other side of what it is that we seek, and the realization that we've already made it. My wife asked me tonight, she said, "How's our retirement coming, honey?" And I said, well, by my calculations, we've been retired for about 3 years. And the world is just going to finally understand it. So, and I'm not saying that glib, I actually meant it, because that's when I started acquiring some of these assets and set them properly in banks. And now, with the currencies or the bonds or the Zim or whatever it is that you have, that truth is just now going to be seen, and it's going to become obvious and abundantly obvious, I might add. So it just is. It's no great drama. One day the bank will deny that it ever happened. The next day they'll be happy to set up appointments and give you the highest rate for your currencies. It's just the transition is as simple as that. One day you're a suspect, the next day you're a prospect. And that's just what it is. But to understand the transition versus the transaction, a top-down approach versus a bottom-up approach is critical, because if you don't come from a place of certainty about the event, you can't really acquire the knowledge because you don't believe it, so therefore you can't see it. And because you can't see it, you can't understand it. So if you're struggling with where we're at, it's because of your belief level. It's not because of your intelligence or your currency or price or preparedness. It's simply a matter of surrendering to the love of God, the infinite love of God, as it flows freely now into your time and space dimension, your plane, your frequency, and affects every cell of your body and all the cells of those around you. Those that fight the love will perish and will be dismissed. Those that accept the love will be strengthened and renewed and ascend. Get busy living, get busy dying. Those are your options. And I think that's what's playing out right now geopolitically. The healthcare bill is not about healthcare. The two-state solution in Palestine is not about the two-state solution in Palestine. The Ukrainian situation is not about gas running through pipelines going to Germany and Ukraine getting a clip of it to keep their economy alive. This is about the transition from Pisces to Aquarius. This is about the decision of every human being and every government to make a decision to get busy living or get busy dying. And those are their choices. And the work through of that is what we're waiting on. And some of us are more patient than others. Some of us have greater needs than others. And I understand and respect that. However, I do not condone the anxiety in any way, shape, or form, because the anxiety is simply a misunderstanding of the benevolence that is an absolute. It's just absolute. And to approach the RV, the GCR, GCR, the transition of eras, the rebirth and renewal of the planet, of the species at a cellular level, is not, it's not in question. What's in question is whether or not you believe in it. And if you're preparing for that spiritual transition that will also have a physiological effect. And so tonight, I don't really want to come from a place of, is it going to happen? I'm going to answer questions and speak every word that I have and breath into the reality. It's already happened. And how do we best prepare? What are the best practices? What are we learning along the way, financially and otherwise, so that we can not only prepare our bodies, minds, and souls, but help others do the same. So that being said, Sister, do we have Tank on the line?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, I'm just going to read some of the intel that I have.
Okay.
Financially, and then we'll move over to Tank when he arrives. I've sent him a text. Let's see if he's texted me back here, because because I know he wanted to do this. Okay, not on it. Something must be going on in his home. Okay, so coming from the top-down position, I speak to a bank. I speak to a banker every day. That gives me an insight as to where at least HSBC is. And I'm not promoting HSBC over another bank. Please hear that. You can bank anywhere you'd like to bank. The only thing about HSBC I'm offering is that it's the global paymaster and that it is owned and operated by the elders with the understanding that it is the global paymaster for the RV. So they've had their problems as well as the other banks. However, they were able to get ahead of it and fix a lot of it before this. And what I know is they hold the master accounts on the Zim redemption. So anybody that's redeeming Zim ultimately will be paid by an HSBC paymaster, regardless of where you start off with or what bank you initially contact. So that being said, let me pull up my intel here, and I'll just do this. Okay, so the thing that everybody has to understand is the banks do not know the hard start time. There is a hard start time. We have a sense of what it is, time, day, all that stuff, but we're not exactly sure exactly. The security forces that are running the protection do not have a good understanding and knowledge of the hard start time. The politicians that are running around Washington and all over the country and all over the world, for that matter, do not have certainty as to when this is starting. It is a private transaction that is being done through the banking system, and because it is private, it is controlled by a private mechanism out of Asia in coordination with some families, some sovereign families around the world. And they will go when they have chosen to go. And now when I say they have chosen to go, they've chosen this day and time eons ago. Who knows how long ago they chose it, but they chose it from an energetic point of view on the earth, an astrological understanding, a deeper understanding of the true day and time, versus the day and time that we think we know. We think it's March 23rd, 2017. We might be a century off. We don't know because they've lied to us about everything else. Why wouldn't they have lied to us about the day and time in our calendars? So understand, we don't even understand what time it is, but they do. And because of it, they will set us perfectly to ride an astrological wave that will last, we'll say 1,000 years, but that's a blink in the eye of God. So we really don't know how long this is going to last. It certainly will last through our lifetimes and our family's lifetimes. So knowing that, we should prepare appropriately. The USN TRN currency is active. It is functioning. It is seen. Rates are up on screens. The wealth managers and top-tier bankers and board members can view it, and because they can view it, they've counseled some clients to maybe start acquiring some currency from a roster of clients inside the bank. It's not technically a currency exchange if you're offering somebody else in the bank a rate that will make them money and clear their negative position, but technically it's a ledger-to-ledger transaction. So it's not a currency exchange at this point. However, if you have a lot of cash and you can have a little bit of holding power and patience, you can make an awful lot of money by cashing out some people's negative positions, other clients giving them. I've heard, today the Dinar was at 85 cents to $2.15 in terms of people offering rates to in-bank clients to cash them out prior to the RV. So people took that, and then they had instant liquidity because the system's already up and running in terms of the financial system. So there is no struggle with the USN or TRN and even the paper physical currency that you'll be handing out. All of that's completed. The only thing that we're literally waiting on is the actual shotgun start for every country in the world to say, go ahead, you have free reign and access to do anything you want within the guidelines that every bank has now conformed to. That's all we're waiting on. It's not the meal, it's not the transaction, it's not the technology, it's not the government, it's not the IMF, it's not the BIS. I've seen all those, strands of intel. It's none of that. The physical, financial transaction portion of it has been done for quite some time. So if you want to follow, the banks, and I understand why you would, that's fine. But it's a waste of your time. The banks, the security, and the politicians have no idea when it's coming, and yet they all have to be ready. Okay? The couriers and the contact intel providers that are getting out the 800 numbers have all been prepped, and they're ready to do their dispersals at a moment's notice. Call centers and the offsite exchange centers, which are over 15,000, I think, are active, and they're all staffed. They wait every night in 6-hour shifts. They don't know when it's coming. Nobody knows. But when it comes, and everybody's got to be ready, including you. The sovereign rates that we've talked about are a little deeper than just more money. Obviously, they want you to do projects and job creation en masse with sovereign rates. Also go into an NDA to not discuss the rate you get, and go into a structured settlement so that if you ask for quite a bit and they give it to you, that they disperse it to you in an orderly, manageable fashion. No exchange needs an NDA or needs a structured settlement unless you choose one, okay? Nor a sovereign rate. And you can take much less than not only the sovereign rate, but the screen rate as well. You can take whatever amount is comfortable for you, low or high. The reality, however, the sovereign rate is what they're saying to you is you are now a sovereign citizen of the world and of the universe, and you are free. And thus, because you are free to receive any amount of mercy that has been reserved for you and for humanity at this time, which is why you are chosen. You are unenslaved. You are freed. And because of that, you get to access the wealth of God in an infinite fashion in delivery system with security. That's a tough one for people. I've had people today talking to me about the rates, and I said, stop looking at the numbers because you're looking at it as a transaction and not a transition. Try and align yourself with the right feeling and the right sensation within your soul of why God created you and why you're here. And that number, those numbers will just naturally come out versus trying to pin down a rate or make the best financial negotiation you can. That's the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking is just trying to be in alignment with the flow of the new era, of the new society, the new culture, the new finance, and just try and allow it to bless you versus forcing it to bless you. That's where a lot of you are getting your anxiety. You're trying to force the date. You're trying to force the amount. You're trying to force getting the best deal. You're trying to force the banks. There's no room for force. There's no need for force anymore. Force in this era is futile. And the currency or the value comes from your innocence and your purity, not in your ability to dominate another. So when we talk about sovereign rates, what we're really talking about is the release of your mind, body, and soul from any kind of enslavement, so you have the ability to select any rate or any amount based on your understanding of your own spiritual sovereignty. Now, again, I don't know that a banker would understand that if you explained it or laid that out, but while we're in community here and on the Real Truth Call, that's what it is. So Zim exchanges will be treated like sovereign historic bond exchanges or intakes because that's what they are. Even the new currency that's in Zimbabwe that's being released is really a bond. I mean, they even talk about it as a bond. $1 coins, $2, $5, $10, $20 notes. They're bonds. So when you go redeem your Zim, you're actually redeeming a bond, and you're getting a currency. whereas the other currencies you're taking in are existing currencies you can buy as part of a forex trade or just a normal currency purchase and then redemption at a later date for a higher value. They will give you back another currency. And this is why the ZIM has to be separated, because it's a different classification of transaction, and certainly the amounts are tremendously different because the face values are so much higher on the ZIM than the other currencies. I think the largest, the ZIMs go up to $100 trillion, whereas the Vietnamese dong, I think, is the second highest. It goes up to 500,000. Iran, the rial goes to 100,000. Indonesian rupiah goes to 100,000. The dinar only goes to 25,000. So when everybody's talking about the dinar being the kingpin of the RV, that's an old thinking that is not applicable simply because the actual screen or the face value of the bill is so much smaller. How many $25,000 dinar notes go into a $100 trillion ZIM bond? I mean, I don't know the math of that. I'm sure somebody can figure that out, but it's staggering. So the ZIM really is the rock star or the peak performer of the RV, but to understand it and really feel comfortable with it, you have to understand its bond origins, including the paper it was printed on and where it was printed in Germany and why it was stopped and why it was even printed in the first place and what the natural assets are in Zimbabwe, and understanding the cultural relationships that go back, I don't know how many centuries or how many millenniums between the Asian race and the black race, and it's deep stuff, guys. It's deep stuff. So you would really have to settle into that and do your research to be calm about the ZIM. And I know a lot of you haven't, and yet you still own it, and you're still going to convert it, which is great. But if you feel guilty or need to know more, I don't really know what to do for you, because while these calls are wonderful, they're temporary. And while there are recordings and you can go back and listen, and certainly on websites there have been posts and different things that have been stated or formatted in a way that might be a chronological order for you to do review or help somebody else understand what you went through. We're understanding that a lot of those websites, a lot of those calls are starting to get scrubbed. What do I mean by that? Scrubbed in a sense that the new powers that be are trying to erase the memory of the RV as quickly as it happens. The reason for this is they don't want to upset the public that some people got rich because they were paying attention, but they didn't. So that's really hard to understand. We know even on this call, Dr. WC, we had a Fisher call with myself that was erased temporarily. I've had other websites tell me that a lot of the Yosef material that they have has been removed. So if you're looking for a long-term historical placement or understanding or library of the RV material, I think you're going to be disappointed. So I'm just preparing everybody for that. You might want to print things if you find them of value and have a hard copy, because otherwise it might be gone when you go back to look for it. In terms of the currencies having a shelf life, the currencies have a 2-year shelf life, as I understand it from international transactions of the past, that there's, once a currency is revalued or redenominated, which means the reduction of zeros, it has a 2-year shelf life in terms of the old currency has a 2-year period by international law to be redeemed. So if you miss the first week, the first month, the first year, it's not the end of the world if somebody's got their currency in a sock drawer. In terms of the ZIM, however, I don't know that it will have the same shelf life. And number one, it's a lot more valuable, so you would imagine the expediency to get that off the street is probably greater. But because it's a different asset classification as a bond versus a currency, it comes with different requirements legally in order to restore or reconcile. I don't know what those are. I've looked. I can't really get a good handle on it. I'm not sure if it's a 2-week period or a the 10-week period. I know the ZIM has a number and it has a rate, but until they declare it a currency again versus a bond, and maybe that's it. Maybe at some point in time they'll declare it a currency versus a bond, and then there'll be a 2-year period from the time they declare it a currency. But as of the moment, I don't think they've declared it the currency yet. They've literally been selling $1, $2, $5, $10, and $20 bonds, basically, and asking people to use it as currency, but they haven't declared it as the new currency. So I'm not exactly sure on the shelf life of the ZIM. The other currencies, you won't have a problem. And quite honestly, while they're valuable, they're not anything close to the ZIM. So having a dinar in your sock drawer, or a dong, or a rupiah isn't going to endanger anybody, whereas having $100 trillion ZIM in your sock drawer might be a different matter. The NDAs that were once feared and are no longer required, they've raised the rates so high that, even if you hold ZIM or any other currency, they'll be so high you'll just be flabbergasted at what you thought you initially got the currencies for. Now it's in a whole different ballgame. And so the longer you were made to wait, the more money you made, which, while sounds great in practice, in principle, sounds great in principle, in practice wasn't so cool because a lot of people were suffering even to the point of death. Were suffering waiting for the RV and couldn't hang on. So, but that was how they decided to play it, and that's how we have to live with it because it's a gift being given to us, and we have to accept it as it is given and when it is given. So the NDAs were taken out even for the ZIM, and you don't really have to get a structured payout unless you want one. If you want more of an allowance type of dispersal versus a lump sum, you can do that. And then, of course, if you want to do major league projects and do bigger stuff, you can ask for the sovereign rates, and those will come with NDAs and structured payouts, from my understanding. In terms of the 800 numbers, there's a series of 800 numbers that are repopulated supposedly every few hours and redistributed to different people. They have been propagated again today and redistributed in case of their release tonight. There are links that go to some of these numbers. There are links that go to refresher banking pages for groups that will refresh the paperwork on their already turned in bank accounts and or paymasters that they were in contract with. And as quickly as you can get your own paperwork processed, that's as quickly as you can get paid out because the money's all sitting there. In terms of your appointments, we understand the 800 numbers will come out about 15 minutes prior to the appointments being set. So it'll really be a bang-bang situation. So once those numbers are out, literally, if you can get an appointment, you can go exchange. So now we know that it's Thursday night. We know that there was supposed to be a Obamacare vote tonight that got moved to tomorrow morning. There's different conflicting reports that the votes are there or that they're not there in order to pass it. It's very important because if this doesn't pass, the tax reform will have issues. So the real fight here is the first bill. It's not so much Obamacare. It's the first bill of the Trump administration. And we don't believe it's really about health care. Everybody in the Republican caucus wants a repeal and a replacement of Obamacare. The deeper issue is who's holding it up? Why are they holding it up? Why aren't they settling? Why aren't they coming to terms? What are they really fighting for? Are they fighting for re-election and to get some sort of attention out of it all? Are they no longer really active senators and they're fighting for their amnesty and their own payouts, maybe through the RV? Are they waiting for the RV before they vote on Obamacare and start that whole process of changing over to a GCR, public GCR announcement with these changes in the bills? We believe the health care has actually already been changed. We believe the immigration policies have already been changed. We believe the global tax or the VAT tax has already been implemented, which we understand will be 17 to 20%, somewhere in that range. So a lot of what you're expecting to happen has already happened. It's just they're using the old format of the voting and the democracy and the way we're all used to it so that we won't be freaked out that there was this massive benevolent coup d'etat over our existing government. Because you got to remember, while there might be a few 100,000 of us on this call, there's 324 million Americans and 332 million Canadians and 100 something or 67 Mexican citizens. So, you're talking about slightly under 450 million people, at least in North America, that have no real clues to what's going on. So you can't just say, hey, here are all the changes without the lead up or the run up. So what you're getting is the run up, and they're using Trump as the flashbang or the massive distraction to not only absorb North American attention in media, but the world's attention in media, which included, by the way, I don't know if anybody saw it the other day, there was a public announcement by the Chinese government that Israel had adopted the two-state solution. That was made by the Chinese President Xi Jinping, which in a normal news cycle would absorb it. It would just be massive news. In this case, it's a little line item in a press briefing and on to the next Trump Twitter. So, and then Netanyahu comes out and says, no, there's no two-state solution. That's silly. That's not right. Well, China wouldn't have said it if it didn't happen. Same thing for the Ukraine. We're not taking the Minsk agreement. That didn't happen. And yet Putin's flowing the gas again through the Ukrainian pipes into Germany. So what we believe in my little intel community is we believe those things have already happened. The two-state solution's already been accepted and is in process of being implemented. The Minsk agreements in Ukraine have already been signed and are starting to be implemented. The Obamacare and all the bills that are going through the U.S. with the Republic, including the USN and the TRN, have already been enacted and are starting to be implemented. And all of these other things are simply distractions to keep you focused on the train wreck and not the flowing traffic, going past you, zipping past you. And Trump is a train wreck, right? I mean, he's defeating himself. He's leading everybody to his own weaknesses, his own sins in terms of the wiretapping and Trump Tower and all. That's all going to bring him down. So everything he's doing, while it looks like he's defending himself, is actually knocking himself down quicker and lowering his approval rate and getting more of the world against him so that when he does resign or is impeached, everybody will be happy about it and not sad. And he will have done his job of creating a distraction while all the changes were implemented, which will then he will grant his amnesty and get his deals in China and Russia and his currency redeemed and allow his family to keep the family assets or the family properties and build and buy more. So he's doing them a favor. They're doing him a favor. It's a win-win, and we are getting a wonderful fake pageant of a fake presidency while the adults that are really running the republic are doing all the real work and making the changes and preparing everything for the next great run of the United States of America. So that will be the end of the intel portion of the show. And sister, I think unless you have any questions or want to make any comments, we can just go right into phone calls.
Tank, he had a little emergency to come up. He'll be in shortly. He'll get it resolved. Just got to take some.
Okay, so you just want to go into phone calls, or do you want to wait for Tank?
No. We're going to go on in. Because he's handling some business.
And I'm here, too, if you need some help.
Can you hear me well?
I'm sorry?
Okay. Can you hear me well? Clear?
You're a little low. You've got a Yosef problem.
I'm going to open up the queue and then show me you can take the first. You can start off, please.
With the queue? With the questions? Okay. Okay, yes. You bet.
And I'm going to change my mic.
Okay.
Just don't change your mind.
Okay.
Although it is your prerogative.
But I won't.
Hey, show me.
Hey, Yosef, how are you?
Blessed beyond understanding. Let's go. Let's start getting to some of these questions. Let's give the people what they want. Positive, forward-thinking, enlightening, age of Aquarius questions. Let's go.
Okay, 925, you're up. 925. 925, you're up. Try again.
Hi, this is Cheryl.
Hello.
Hi. So I had just two quick questions. One is, will we get galactic or other support to clean up the oceans, because that seems to be such a critical issue? Is that still coming? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I mean, think of how important water is to the human experience and the salvation and sustenance of the species. Only through galactic support will we be able to clean it up, given how bad we've toxified it.
Okay. The next question that I have is, I know we're not talking about negative things, but with the ramifications of that, the ramifications of PTSD, will the healing chambers heal it? That's what I want to know. I just want to know.
That's a great question. That's a great question, because the healing chambers are really for the physical, right? And then there's an emotional or spiritual component that really applies to the soul. Now, that being said, I mean, if you get if you're sick and you get medicine, you feel better, right?
Right.
Okay, but you're talking about massive trauma, massive emotional and spiritual trauma, the fracturing really of a person's kind of energy or truth from their vibrational core, right?
Yes. Right, and it's massive and scary.
It's massive.
And I want to help.
Yeah, it's massive. Well, obviously therapy's got different pros and cons to it. I will offer this. I mean, I do have some experience in therapy. I do understand some of the pros and cons of it. Let me just say this. From a physical perspective, we will be able to heal the broken and depleted cells. That's not even an issue. That's already here. From an emotional or spiritual perspective, anyone that has the innocence to ask for help will get it. In answer to your question, ma'am, how many people will really want to be healed, especially if they've gone through that kind of trauma? Some will, most won't, and thus they will not move forward. Remember I talked about get busy living, get busy dying in the beginning of the call?
Yes.
I think that's an individual choice. And if they want the healing and they want the soul redemption and reconciliation of their past with their future, then I think it's there for them. But surrender is the bridge of that. And you can't make somebody surrender to unconditional love.
It's so true. And I know that some people they're meant to go the path they're meant to go, and that's been the hardest thing. Is I know sometimes you have to let them go, but I know there's so many they've been talking about, all the children, and I've been thinking to myself, how do we help? How do we support? How do we love?
Right. Well, but again, let's just look at the soul. It's an eternal element, right?
Uh-huh.
So this potentially was their pathway. That trauma was their covenant. And you're sad because it wasn't yours and you didn't have to endure it, and you can feel compassion for them, but in the great puzzle of life, perhaps that's the piece that they played.
So my job
and if you
is
look at
to love them, and I may not be able to help them, but to love them and let them know that if they want help, it's there.
Well, no, I would actually be more clinically neutral about it. I would say to you as one of the whole, I would say your mission to me, to all others, to all children, to all seniors, to all people, to the earth is to fulfill your covenant that you made with God. And in doing so, you enrich everyone else's covenant, but through your leadership, through your clarity of vibration, your harmony, if you will, with God. And just by you being in harmony with God, that will heal other people.
I believe that to be true, yes.
But that's a difficult one because we always want to go outside of ourselves to heal others, right? That's just a human, that's a normal human thing. But the reason we do that is because we have accepted that the soul and the body are both temporary. And to some extent, neither is true. Because while our bodies may no longer house our souls one day, ultimately the physical carbonization of our bones and skin cells and eyeballs and all that stuff, it just changes form. It still has a place here. It still functions. We become part of the food cycle. We become part of the growth cycle, you know. Mm-hmm. We just change forms. Whereas the soul is an eternal, it just goes on to the next experience. And some people willingly came in and were abused and were tormented, destroyed to some degree, or raped or victimized. And some people, that was part of their soul covenant. And you would ask, why the heck would anybody sign up for that? But in that contrast from the truth of what the intention of God was in the original creation of humanity, they are the ones that learn and gain the most soul memory. Whereas if you lived in a nice suburban setting and had everything, and your contrast would be smaller. It wouldn't be as extreme. So your soul memory would be somewhat limited. But that was what you agreed to do. And we know this because that's what happened. There are no mistakes, right?
Right.
There are no inefficiencies in God's pulse, God's plan. So when you see somebody that has been tortured or has gone through tremendous shock and trauma, this is going to sound crazy, but it's in reality, they've been honored by God to experience the most contrast. Or you see somebody with a physical ailment or a malady that they've been, had to deal with their entire lifetime, and the families of those people that had to deal with it. In a way, they've been honored by God because they got to be teachers for the rest of us, and they got to have the greatest contrast of soul experience, which takes them to another ascended plane. It's just a thought. I'm not saying you have to subscribe to it, but instead of looking at it and feeling horrible, maybe if you can see the beauty and the benevolence of the sin and having to endure the sin, you can transform it. There was a book by an author named Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning, where he talks about falling in love or being appreciative of his life in a concentration camp. And how instead of dehumanizing his captors, he humanized them and tried to help. Meanwhile they're sending people off to be gassed.
Okay.
All I'm saying is if you can see the beauty in the worst blight, mm-hmm. you can transcend anything from dark to light. And that is the purpose of being here, is to gain the experience from a soul level of having that kind of creative manifestation ability. This is a master's course in manifestation, in trust to the Creator. That's why we all are born into whatever bodies, zip codes, locations we're born into, because it's not only the covenant that you have made with God, but the forgetfulness or the insomnia. What's the term when you forget who you are?
Insomnia.
No, it's not insomnia. It's you can't sleep.
Amnesia.
Amnesia. Yeah. So we are given amnesia from the time we're born, and the rest of our lives are discovering or rediscovering or remembering our connection to God. And in that remembering, in that contrast of forgetting and then knowing, that kismet, if you will, that is the soul lesson. And that goes on a permanent imprint on our being. And that goes back to God. And through God, he experiences and we experience, and we share that together.
Yeah, we make a contract to find our own path again.
So these people that you're feeling are persecuted and, warped beyond repair, that was their soul contract with God, and that is in essence the best thing that could have happened to their soul for its learning this contrast, this suffering, because that's what happened.
Yeah, we did a teaching on that last year about the kids coming in and leaving and dying early and suffering and going through things, because they are a soul, and that's what they signed up to do. And as hard as it is for our heart to take, because of the compassion of God in us, we can't make that. We can't change it for them.
Now let me flip the script on that. So you've asked a great question about people that have been fractured away from their heart and their soul. What about those of us that are now moving into this infinite resource of abundance, where there is no limitation on our checkbooks, so to speak? Mm-hmm. That is tremendous conflict or contrast, if you will, with the current situations that we've all lived in, grown up in. So, in a weird way, we're on the opposite side of that spectrum, and that we're moving into a soul experience that is so contrasted to the majority of lives spent in bodies here on this earth, in the history of bodies spent in this earth. That our mission is sacred as well as those that have been tortured, because we're on the other end, the other bookend of experience. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that will be a burden too. Mm-hmm. Knowing that you can finance absolutely everything that you ever see wrong with anything in the world. This is why the argument isn't about health care. There's enough money to fund every person's health care for the rest of existence in one Zim note.
But the thing about that, if you look a little further into that, it's not even going to be necessary to have health care.
Okay. But in this moment, sister, you're right. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about the end of the movie, and we're just kind of somewhere at the beginning of the first act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're moving us slowly into that reality, into our truth of our unlimitedness and our ability to manifest anything at any time. And we've gone through 7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Good question.
I just wanted to remind people that's not regulars on this call, if you need to get into the queue, you press *6 on your telephone.
Yeah. And also
that will get you into the queue.
Right. And also, if you want to understand some of these concepts that you've never heard before, especially when we start talking about alien disclosure, if you put on a tinfoil hat, make it look like a pterodactyl or something, or a nice, vase or bowl, you can understand things much better. Show me, you got another one?
Yeah, I do. 214, you're up. 214, you're up.
Hello, Yosef. How you doing today?
Brother, I am good. How about yourself?
I'm good. My name is Wendell Yosef. I live in Texas.
I think I've talked to you before, Wendell.
No, you have not. I have been putting this off for years. And I said, man, I better do this before he's gone.
All right. What do you got? What do you got on your heart?
Well, I started this venture back in when I was 22 years old, and I was down in Mexico hunting with some guys down there, and I seen that they had a philosophy that was completely different than mine. And these guys, and I was 22 at the time, and most of these guys were only like 10 years older than me, and they were already retired and doing different things.
Mm-hmm.
So going through the steps all the way up to just different things, all the way up to where I am now. And I'm 58 now. Through Dexter Yeager, through just a lot of the guys, through the growing up and the teaching, because you can't get the good teaching in college. I tried that. You can't catch that at the door. So, moving on to where I am today, and I really don't have a question. I got one question for you, but you was talking about a while ago about, or just a second ago, about where we actually are. Having these currencies and going through this on a 24-hour, 7 days a week since 2010, it sure is hard to have a conversation with everybody that you're around day in, day out when you're a year, 2 years ahead of them. It's just like this, not negative, but it's like, wow, you can't get it. Well, it's really hard. And my whole bond is into the rural living. Everything that I'm going to do and everything that I've been doing my whole life is rural America. Trump, everybody talks about giving back. I'm giving back everything to rural America, to the cattlemen. I was on 10,000 acres. I just got rolled right back in from West Texas. And it's really heart-sinking to see how all the big ranchers out there have given their lives away to lots of infrastructure that they really don't want, but they got to make a living. And they're just bound up out there. And I mean, since we started this project, I've been out of the touch in West Texas because I've been just holding back, and not spending any money till we get this thing done. And I was amazed about how even West Texas is a broad spectrum. There ain't nothing out there, but it's changed so much. So much.
Well, you've made a wonderful testimony. Do you have a question, or is it just a testimony?
I do have one question.
Okay.
In 1985, did you live in Hawaii?
No.
Well, there's two gentlemen that I have associate with, and I lost connection with them, and they lived on Lanai. And the gentleman's name was Kazu, and he was in a hunting accident. And I've been thinking this for years, or several years since you've been on. Did you ever hear of Kazu over on Lanai?
I haven't. I've been to Lanai several times, but never engaged with a gentleman named Kazu.
He was a local. And I was just wondering because he was in a hunting accident over with a client, and I was over prior, and anyway, that was my question. Just wanted to ask you that one.
No, I appreciate it. Good to talk to you, and I'm glad you called in.
The other gentleman I was with his name was Gary, and he was practicing, or he was doing this stuff for the competition on the Olympics. And one of these days, I see him on television every once in a while. But anyway, that's it for me.
Okay, brother. Well, thank you for calling in.
You betcha. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Go make West Texas beautiful.
I'm doing tri-state, Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado. I'm going to put about 50,000 acres to work. Rural America.
Good.
I can't wait. Got it all lined up.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Thank you, sir.
Have a great day. Thank you very much.
God bless.
Okay, 719, you're up.
Hey, hi, Yosef. This is Diane in beautiful Colorado.
Oh, we're in beautiful Colorado.
I am in Colorado Springs.
Ah, beautiful Colorado Springs. Yes.
It is. It's God's country.
It's all God's country. Yes.
It is. You're right. Joseph, I, first of all, have a question, but I want to say thank you for keeping me going and helping me to surrender every day to our Father and our Heavenly Family. And I just wanted to say that you do that for me, and I'm sure you do it for most all of us. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a lot of strength. Okay, I have a quick question. I have 4 very dear friends, and they are Vietnamese, and I don't believe they are U.S. citizens, but they work very, very hard, 7 days a week.
Where are they? Where are they? Are they in Colorado or are they
they're
in
here
Vietnam?
in Colorado. No, good question. They're here in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And I've known them for about 6 years, and I would like to give them $1 million, a small note, $1 million Zimbabwe each.
Ooh,
do you think they?
Okay.
Do you think? But they have great aspirations, and one of them I would like to give like maybe $500 million to them to one of them because she wants to go back to Vietnam and she wants to help all the elderly that are literally, I guess, ignored in Vietnam. So anyway, do you think they will be able to exchange their currency here in here in the United States?
If they're illegal, probably not. If they're illegal, it's probably not.
Okay.
Or so let's start there. So that would be persecuting them versus liberating them. If you gave them currency they couldn't exchange, because that would be difficult.
Right.
May I make a suggestion?
Please.
Exchange your currency for them that you were going to give them. Just exchange it, put it in your name, and then put them together in a group and allow them to. Everybody does their own thing, but you're going to create a subgroup, and you're going to through numbers you're going to give them strength to go do their own thing, but they'll have a group in which are they all friends? Do they all know each other, kind of a thing, or
yes.
Are they separate?
Yes.
So
they're all,
what you do is unionize the 6 that you know, and say, listen, whatever's on your heart to go help other people, I will fund it for you.
Okay. I can do that.
And then if some want to go to Vietnam, then because you have Zim, you'll be with HSBC. There will be banks, HSBC banks, where you can go bank to bank from Colorado or some bank in the United States to Vietnam with no struggle. And that will give you some not only oversight over giving them too much money too quickly, because you can just then drip it as they become ready for it, right? But also you can participate with them and enjoy their progress and their growth and encourage them, and not just give them money and say go get them. Because once you give people money, especially people that aren't really familiar with money, you become your brother's keeper.
I know.
You become their steward.
I'm kind of afraid of that because I have a lot of people I'm helping.
Which is why if you put them together and let them kind of gain strength from each other's own experience, it won't be all on you to steward.
Okay.
In essence, they'll want to, through competition, help more people because others are watching what they're doing. And then you can just meet with the group every once in a while because the group of themselves will monitor the other 5 and make sure that they're doing the right thing and gain support. So that'll take some of the pressure off of you versus doing it as 6 individuals.
Nice. Okay. I wanted to give them Vietnamese dong, but they didn't want it. They did because they have bad feelings.
I don't blame them. It's a bad, evil currency. Yeah, it's terrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So
and
just
so I was,
just bless them. Just bless them as as a friend, and allow them to go bless as many people as they can find, and you'll, whenever they're comfortable and they want to bless more people, to come back to you and say ask for what you need, and you'll deliver it for them. Simple.
Do I set up a transfer into
You
the
set up
bank?
a sub-trust. You'd set up a sub-trust separate from your,
okay.
and then just deliver it to them wherever they are. So if they go back to Vietnam, you'll just deliver it there. If they're here in the States, you'll deliver it there. If they do something for children, you can accommodate that. If one goes off and wants to help, Southeast Asian elderly, you'll help them do that. There's no struggle.
Okay, I will do that with my wealth manager after the fact.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good lesson for other people, too, to do groupings of different causes or different relationships. And through just the peer relationship, people will make sure that they do the right thing because they're in the group. They're all watching each other.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't even think of that. So, leave it up to you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
God bless
you.
Thank you.
Okay. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Yosef, Peace 21, you're up. Peace 21. Hello. You're on.
Hello.
Hello. We can hear you.
Hi. Yosef, I have one question for you. It's Dinar from Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, sister. Good.
Yeah. Since you were talking about the masters, I would like to know if it's cremation or buried. Which one will be a better choice?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The body is a temporary vessel,
Yeah.
Listen, do you throw your peanut shells out in the trash, or do you bury them? I mean.
No, but what?
It's not the body. It's not the body. Is not the value. The body is not the value. The value is the soul. The body is a temple to keep in good order for the soul.
Yes.
If there's no soul in it, it's just an empty vessel. This is why they go after our souls, because that's the real value. This is why they convince us that reincarnation is mandatory, because our souls are incredibly valuable and powerful. And the possession of our souls, wink, wink, hint, hint, is the game for them. That's their currency, is our souls. Keeping our souls enslaved is their currency.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yes. All right, then. Thank you very much.
Okay, love.
Okay, next caller is 843. 843, you're up.
Good evening, Dr. W.C., Yosef. I have a question, and actually I'd like you to explain something that you have done in the past, and I think I missed it, and that's the working with municipalities, Yosef. What is the deal there? Can you explain that? Because I think it was very good, and all of us could learn a lot from it and take advantage of it.
Okay, so I have a lot of experience in this here. I've been doing it well before this call. So meetings with states and county officials and local officials at the city, county level. I mean, so I'm pretty well versed in this. The key to working with municipalities is understanding they don't think like this. They don't think abundantly, right? They have fixed budgets. They have political agendas. They have to get reelected. They're just always worried about the negative. They're always worried about the scarcity aspect. It's built into their job description. And here you come along with an infinite understanding of things and the resources to back it up. The worst thing that you can do with municipality is show up and be the biggest swinging you-know-what in the room overnight. That's the worst thing you can do. Because the second you show up and you've got more money than everybody in the county, you're a problem. You're a threat. you're not an asset. So my suggestion to working with local government, to working with state government, federal government, or international government is go slow. And the bigger the government is, the government entity, the slower you have to pace yourself. So you'll go at a different speed working with a local municipality, local government, city, versus if you walk into a country and all of a sudden you want to do all these amazing things for people that don't look like you, don't speak your language, but yet you have all this resource for them. You just have to take the time and invest in building the relationships and planting a flag in their domicile, in their city, in their county, in their state, in their country, and spending the time to invest and get to know the people. Once they trust you and you've done some projects at a smaller level, they will allow you to do more. So my suggestion is because you have an infinite amount of money, even living beyond you, set up your organization and do that quickly, because your organization, your charity, your foundation, your trust will outlive you. And it might be a generation or two down the line when you really start doing the massive mega project.
Right.
Unless you already have those relationships. Some people are working for NGOs and doing stuff all over the world. Show me, I know you're doing stuff in Vietnam and you're doing stuff in the Philippines and all this. If you've already put the Chinese call it one sheet, right? And it's facial currency. It's basically I have trust in you because you have made deposits in my emotional bank account or the bank account of my people, my county, my country, and I give you a currency that is above and beyond money or gold. I give you trust. And you have to if you have that much money and you have that much desire to do good, you have to go at it and you have to accumulate the trust of people. And from the trust, that will be your power base, and that's how you can get more money, not only out in the future, but in a perpetual, endless way. Remember, just because suddenly you have all these zeros in your account, these people don't even know that these zeros exist. So your energy is going to be completely off.
If I have a relationship with a local councilman, how would you go about that? What you would do it? Well, what you would do is do it like this. You might do it through a surrogate that also has a relationship with them. You might do it through an attorney. You might do it through a mutual friend. You might do it through somebody you trust, a church pastor or deacon or rabbi, or however you want to do it, and say, listen, I'd like to do all this stuff, but I'd like to remain anonymous, and I'd like to compensate you for connecting the dots for me but keeping my name out of it. And I will fund it, but I want you to facilitate it. Some people are going to want that route. Other people they want their names on it. They want to be involved personally. They want credit, which is okay too, and it's needed in some ways because people need to know there are angels out there that can help them. And if that's the route you want to take with your councilman, then you go up to him and say, listen, I've come into an inheritance. I've been blessed, and I just want to bless my area. I want to bless my community. Are there projects that are sitting on the books now that you guys have already set up that you just need funding for, and I can come in and water it and make it grow instead of bringing in all your projects? Then once you do theirs, then you can do yours. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but again, everybody's going to be after me if I go to that councilman and I don't get a facilitator. So I think the best bet is to get a facilitator. Otherwise, the whole town's going to come after me for money.
Right. And one thing you can look at is look for a law firm that works with the municipality, especially small municipalities. They don't have their own legal teams. They have law firms that'll do their work for them. And maybe go to them and say, could you facilitate a relationship and be the trustee of the money and help do county projects that I can look at and approve and then you can fund?
Yeah. I'm not sure who that is. I have a law firm locally. I could also use them too, most likely, right? Yeah.
They'll know, and they'll know. Yeah. In fact, that's probably the best way because then it's lawyer to lawyer, and you're not really engaged.
And they're in a client relationship, client lawyer relationship, so they can't leak out who they're working for. That's right. I think that's the best bet. Yeah.
And if it does leak out, just change lawyers.
Yep.
Just change law firms.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, you've been great this whole time. I've spoken to you a number of times. Every time you're spot on, and you just give such great confidence and love. It's incredible how you have the impact you've had on me and turned me around and got me to realize I need to surrender, which I did. I surrendered to God. It's a great feeling. God. It's a wonderful feeling. I was talking to somebody about it today, a very religious person, and I mentioned the word surrender, and they gave me a hug because that's what they've done. So I just felt like $1 million. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Yep. Bye.
That's 2 surrenders we got. That's good stuff.
That's awesome. Okay. 732, you're up.
Yeah, hi. From the day that the exchange happens, how long would you say we have to wait for age reversal?
Wow. How quickly do you want it?
I'm ready now. Put me on a spaceship.
Well, you keep putting that vibration out there, and you will.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Okay.
Good with me. Good answer. Thank you.
Okay. Love.
Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Just so everybody knows, they are watching. They are watching our vibrations. They are picking up on those that are willing and those that aren't, and they will make contact and they will share their experiences with ours. So if you really do want that experience, if you want to ride in the spaceship, if you want to go to other planets or other dimensions or time travel, that will be available for you. If that's your heart's deepest desire, if that's your soul covenant.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Next caller is Anonymous.
Hi. Yes, I'm surprised to be so quickly up. I was wondering if Tank is still there, if we could get his take on the intel, even though he was late.
Tank, are you still with us? Tank had a family emergency, so
Tank had a family emergency. He won't be.
Oh, okay.
When he get an opportunity to resolve it, he will come in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, when he shows up, I'd love to hear his take on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 817, you're up.
Yeah, Yosef, this is Steve in Texas. How you doing?
Good, brother.
Let me ask you, how do you view the exchange of the Zim with if you don't have any bank locations in Texas, like USBC banks, as far as you exchange your Zim, redeem it for whatever value, and I'm assuming you can wire to other banks. But what about the actual Zim account? Can you locate that in just USBC, or can you put it?
So your question is, if I'm understanding it right, is you don't have an HSBC in your neighborhood, which a lot of people don't,
right? And
you have Zim, so you're thinking it has to be at an HSBC brick and mortar bank for me to use it. And, that's giving you cause for concern because you don't have one in your neighborhood, and you're not going to move to New York or LA just so you can play with your Zim.
Well, actually, right. More importantly, just getting hooked up with the wealth management.
Okay, don't worry about the wealth management. They've provided that for you. They provide that for everybody that wants it. Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Because they knew they were going to get a lot of new money, and especially a lot of sudden wealth money that was off the charts. So they've trained and planned for that. So the wealth management thing, don't worry about anybody. You will have access to it and be led to it if you just request it.
Okay.
In fact, you'll be led to it no matter what in reality, because it's so much money they know you need it, so they'll lead you to it. That will be benevolent as well. If they're giving you this money, they're not going to steal it from you. So,
I'm not worried about
trust in the professionals. And in terms of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm not worried about it being stolen. I'm just worried about how, I want to get a structured payout kind of along. I don't know if it's going to be 99% like you, but, I want to get a structured payout and develop a relationship with, USDC Bank.
Right.
And if I know,
let me offer you this. HSBC is going to expand dramatically in the United States after the RV. Okay, they're going to announce the acquisition of Bank of America and more branches and maybe even Citibank to some extent. So just understand there's going to be an expansion of the HSBC presence. But even so, when you go to redeem, they have made provisions for every zip code to have redemption options or locations regardless of what currency or bond that you hold. So if you're in South Dakota, they have an option for you, and there's no HSBC in South Dakota. You know what I mean? And they also have, and where you open the account, you might be in South Dakota or South Texas or South Ohio. Wherever you open the account, they can open it in a kind of a New York setting or a Los Angeles setting or maybe even a Hong Kong setting. We don't particularly know yet where our accounts will initially be open, but then you can wire and move money to your existing banks and your existing accounts, your checking, your savings, that type of stuff, if you want to. Well, you will have immediate liquidity with your existing accounts, and you'll also have new master accounts for your bigger money. And then the wealth managers will then take that master account and then start splitting it around and diversifying it and making sure that you get all the sub-trusts and all the corporations and all the foundations set up so that you have planning, long-term for your wealth.
Yeah, I mean,
everything's been thought through.
Yeah,
everything's been thought through.
I'm thinking that I'd have to go like New York or something to.
No. You don't have to unless you want to. But let me offer you this. When you go to a wedding, do you worry about whether or not the minister's going to show up, the band's going to show up, the cake's going to be there, the chicken's going to be served on time and hot? I mean, do you worry about any of that?
No.
You trust that whoever's planning the wedding will have all of that worked out, right?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Same thing for the exchange. Every question that you're thinking about, they've answered, prepared for, staffed it, and have it humming right now. Everything that you could possibly think about, they've already thought through and planned for it, and it's ready, waiting for all of us.
Well, Bank of America, they have a zillion branches in Texas, so if they acquire Bank of America.
We think those are going to get split up between Wells Fargo and HSBC.
Okay, the other question I have is, I realize, painful. I've realized, the fact is that everything's done and we're just waiting for go time, and it's really up to them when they want to go. And of course, it's anyone's best guess. But my question is when we finally redeem, what is, I guess your timeline on what you're thinking about actually. I'm assuming there's at least to be one announcement that there's like our currency's now gold back. But really like Sarah, when do you think they'll announce that in the Republic? Is that going to be like 2 months from now, or whenever we go, on a certain time?
Well, those are three. You asked me three questions on three announcements: gold back currency, Republic, GCR, right?
Right.
So they're going to do a vote in the House of Representatives to change it to a gold-back currency. You'll actually see that like the Supreme Court Justice and the Obamacare. That'll actually be played out over time. So you're going to get a public vote on that. In terms of the Republic, does anybody know we're not a republic? handful of people know we defaulted in 2012 in December, but does anybody really know we've been run by a cabal corporation that was run out of Europe, and we've had this mimic controlling force since 1871? I mean, do people know that?
No, well, 99% of them don't know it.
Okay. Well, then if they start announcing the Republic of the United States, by just announcing that the Republic of the United States is functioning well and is in full control of the currency and everything, wouldn't that technically be the announcement of the Republic? You could just say it right as it is, and nobody would blink because nobody knew there was anything wrong with it anyway.
I mean, do you think
most people would know the gold standard was reversed in 1971 by Nixon? That would be a change. But to announce the Republic of the United States, I mean, Trump kind of did it on Inauguration Day when he talked about the Republic.
Yeah. Well, so they're just going to kind of piecemeal the share then, change things as we go.
Yeah, GCR is a different cat. It's a different intensity because you're talking about every country, every citizen, every human being, every cell, every planetary protection. You're talking about complete financial reversal, complete military reversal. You can't go to war with sovereign nations unless there's a consensus of the group. I mean, it's so far out there that, like, if they just announce that cold, people's faces would melt. They can't just come out with that. They've got to slowly leak it into the consciousness issue by issue. And the combination of all that will be GCR, and then maybe down the line they announce GCR with all the changes already implemented. By the time you hear GCR, it'll already all be implemented, right? It's like by the time you hear about the gold standard or the new currency or the Republic, it will have already been implemented. We will have been in and out of the exchange centers and spending money for months.
Well, I mean, do you think I know that this thing is always imminent, but do you think this thing will last through March, or what's your gut feel?
I never thought we'd get to March. So I never thought we'd get to 2016. So don't listen to me for dates and times. I'm just giving you structure and good advice spiritually and hopefully some financial or humanitarian advice, of how to do projects and how to maybe view philanthropy a little differently or for the first time, if you've never thought about it. That's really all I'm here for. Well,
you've done a great job, and I really appreciate your effort on this thing. It's been fantastic. But, my like everybody, a lot of people's situation, financially, I'm struggling. But more importantly, from my immediate family, my wife and kids and my friends, they just think I'm a nutbag on this RV. And
I know, but they're all dead wrong. That's the problem. And by the way, when you're proven right, and all of a sudden you're living in the $5 million mansion and you've got all these wonderful charities going, and you're suddenly the king philanthropist, you don't get to gloat. You don't get to kick them in the what. You have to sit there and be humble and be kind and be generous to those that kicked you.
You got it, brother. My problem.
And we all have to do that. I mean, that's hard. I know. I'm having issues with that now. Just in my own family, I'm having issues in that.
I'm ready to get divorced myself. So it's
a lot of people are. But on that topic, for people that are struggling with their spouses and their kids or their jobs or their communities or their families or their cousins or their nephews or whatever the struggle is, that you're vibrating in a different place than those people that have really given you time and energy and love over the years. Just open your heart up to the possibility of a miracle and them transitioning with you instead of constantly fighting you once the event has happened. Because once a lot of these people see that you've been successful and you stayed consistent and the money really is there and you really are doing these things, they might become your biggest advocate down the line. And I'm not saying everyone will, and I'm not saying it'll save every marriage, because some marriages are supposed to disintegrate, on contact. But for those that there's a strand of love or affection or real sincerity there and appreciation for one another's genius and greatness, just stay open, just enough. Just keep the valve of hope open and surrender and say, Lord, I don't know what you want me to do with this relationship, but just show me. Just show me what it is so that I can either move forward and develop it and regrow it again, replant it, or just cut it off at the stem and move on for them and for me. But just stay open to the hope that maybe a miracle exists left within this what appears to be dead relationship. Just maybe, just throw it to God one more time, Keep throwing it to God.
I pray that every day.
Because nobody wants kids to grow up without their mother and father, or step-parents, moving in. And nobody wants to lose a relationship with a brother or a sister or a mother or a father that didn't believe in the currencies or aliens or the republic or, crystallized water. No, we don't want to lose them. We want to help them. And so by kicking them to the curb, that's the easy thing to do. And I understand a lot of people in our lives will go to kind of a recycle bin, if you will, but not everyone. And some that we thought were lost might come back. And some that we thought were so loyal to the cause and were right there with us through the whole thing, right at the very end might tail off and go to the recycle bin. So just stay open to who God wants in your life versus who you think should or should not be in your life. That includes me, includes you, it includes a lot of people on this phone call that are all experiencing real strife with spouses or kids or even people within this community are arguing and bickering back and forth.
Well, I'm sure. But the thing that is obviously going to be tremendous for me is because the money thing is like, hey, when it comes, it comes. But I'm looking for more credibility. That what I really actually believe is not a cult thing. That's actually the truth.
Yeah, but brother, the credibility, you're so far ahead of everybody, they can't even give you credit because they won't know what they're giving you credit for.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're longing for something that's never coming. It's never going to come unless they go and do all the work and do all the internal work and do all the study that you've done. It's never going to come the way that you're looking for it to come.
Well, I'm talking about just the credibility of the action of the RV. When that does happen, that's...
Yeah, but you already know that's going to happen. That's not you know that's a real thing. You know this is real. You know the abundance that it's real in. That's really not the issue. It's not. You want to be glorified. You want them to follow. You want your ego fulfilled. And unfortunately, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
I'm not looking at it as ego. I'm looking at it as, hey, look at, maybe they re-look at it because he was right on this one.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if they didn't approve of you before you had money, they're not going to approve of you after.
Well,
you see my point? Yeah, you might have been right about the money and some other things, but I still don't like you. Because like everybody wants people to succeed a little bit, but not too much because it makes them uncomfortable with their own inadequacies.
Right. Well, I obviously I've been in this a long time, and I know it's going to come. Obviously my world's kind of
already come.
Around.
It's already come. It's already come. The money's already in your account. You already have the assets. It's cash. You're already worth that. It's just a matter of when your appointment comes. That's it. It's not even a question of if, and it's not even a question of when. We're on top of the when. The real issue is how are you vibrationally going to be able to handle all of this unconditional love in a way that doesn't wreck your body and wreck all your relationships initially.
That's a very good point. I've done a pretty good job of wrecking all my relationships right now.
Right. But there's also been some people that have come up and surprised you, hasn't it?
Yeah, there have. with some open people that, that realize that this is the matrix and we're breaking out of it. So.
Right. And they may become your new best friends, your new coworkers, your new wives, your new mates, partners, whatever. But the thing I want you to know is if you lose one person in your life that wasn't in agreement with God's will in this time frame, 10 more will come in and replace them.
Yeah, I believe that. And that's why I stayed humble. I'm working on trying to stay humble through this whole process. I got as many war stories as everybody else does on this phone. So
great. If you want to help on that, go listen to a Tim McGraw song called "Humble and Kind."
Yeah, you got it, man.
All right.
A lot of McGraw in Texas. But hey, thank you very much for what you've done.
Brother.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Boy, show me. I got to tell you that type of call, that type of energy where you've got really humble, good-hearted people that, and I'm maybe speaking for myself here, but boy, I want to inflict some pain on some people that put some painful things on me. I do. I do. I don't need to show them my bank account, but I don't even want to talk to them after this goes down. And those are people within my own family, Yeah. And that does not play. That is not acceptable. That is not what Christ would do.
Nope.
You know what Christ would do? He would bless them. He would wash their feet. He would say, "I'm sorry for speaking all these crazy things and not having my dates and times right." And he wouldn't take a pound of flesh on the way out. And that's hard for me.
Not just you. Yeah. Every time you say you can't kick them in the balls, I go, darn it.
Well, you said it, not me, sister. So there it is.
Hey, not only you, we all are feeling that. Like, darn it, gotta put love out there.
And we don't get that.
Because that's our heart.
Right, but no, that's not our heart.
That's got to be our heartbeat too.
No, our heart is I love you. I want to help you.
Yeah.
I'm glad between us somebody was right about this so that we can all be blessed.
Yeah. No matter how you act, I'm going to show you the love of God. So maybe that will melt your heart. Because, the scripture says that love is like heaping heaps of coal on your head. So you've got to do that, because that is what will burn through to their heart. Make them help someone else.
Right. Right. That'll be a stronger play. It'll be more loving. It'll be more dynamic than lashing out in anger with ill, a sharp tongue. So,
yeah.
But that being said, I still want to kick him in the what. I want to kick him in the cojones. Because
I do. I can imagine.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well,
who's this? Is this Buddha?
Well, I'm glad I didn't make Dr. WC angry because I like to keep my eggs intact. Thank you very much.
We're gonna keep your jewels right where they are.
Hey, but while we've got you on, Buddha, why don't you talk a little bit about Ho'oponopono and what that means as in terms of an ancient healing mechanism that the ancient Hawaiians taught to their generations.
Man, why you always got to put me on the spot? Before we talk about that, going back to what you were talking about, the people that we really want to, give a swift kick to the eggs, and that's the people that we got to bless first. First. Because that creates a healing in ourselves as well. It heals all those wounds. But, going on to Ho'oponopono, it's an ancient Hawaiian form of arbitration in making things right between people. And it's basically, if you look at Ho'oponopono, it in itself, the vibration of the word is very spiritual. So just invoking the spirit of Ho'oponopono brings Ho'oponopono in. And it's making pono not with just a person, but with yourself, your past, anything that has harmed you, or anything that you have any kind of animosity towards. And it's helpful to just invoke that spirit of Ho'oponopono to create healing.
So there's 4 steps. I'm simplifying this, but there's 4 steps to Ho'oponopono, just so people understand.
There's a method that was popularized by Dr. Hugh Len, which is it's kind of a method of peeling away layers of an onion to get to the core of an issue within yourself, especially useful when you don't know what the source is. And a lot of times people are in suffering, and they don't know what the source is until they get to that layer. But the phrases that he uses is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. In any particular order, but those are the 4 phrases. That's what you're referring to, right?
Yep. Right on the button.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
All of those steps take surrender of the ego to accomplish.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes
you can't
genuine love and care. Yeah, you can't.
Absolutely.
So people that have wronged us, we don't get to point out how they've wronged us. What we get to say is, I'm sorry for not being more clear with the information that I knew. I apologize for not being accurate with my time and my scheduling. I'm sorry for neglecting my responsibilities following this. Please forgive me for going on this pathway and journey that I had to follow. I just didn't know how to do it any better than I did it. It was unprecedented for me in my life, and I please forgive me because I did the best I could, knowing what I had to accomplish. And then thank you so much for just sticking with me and just even humoring me sometimes when you didn't understand what it is that I was trying to do or accomplish, not only for myself but for you and for others. So just thank you for being my friend, being my mom, being my wife, being my child, being my buddy. And I just want you to know that I love you.
It's beautiful.
It's so simple. And yet to accomplish every one of those takes real humility.
Oh, yeah. And when you really get down to the intention and the vibration of what each mean in the healing process, it's pretty deep. It's emotional.
Yeah. And it always works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it always works. If you come from a sincere place and you can really allow yourself to get to a real, honest place in yourself and get to a place where just coming to a Ho'oponopono interaction where you're really committed to it, I'm telling you, even if they don't accept it right there on the spot, their soul will be touched by it, and they'll always truly know what your soul looks like and what it really is versus whatever's happened in the past.
And it's also helpful to do Ho'oponopono with somebody in spirit, because you can't have an opportunity to talk to them face to face, or they're not ready to deal with the situation, because when you do, you're pretty amazed at what happens to them in 3D form once you do that. It changes the energy of the situation.
And then by doing that in spirit, they'll tend to come to you in form.
Yeah.
You'll attract them.
They'll feel. Yeah, they'll feel compelled.
So we're going to get into the whole Ho'oponopono village in the healing centers that are going to be developed in Hawaii, but that's not this call. So let's keep going with some questions. But that was a good start.
Yep.
Because that is not our experience here. We already know. Praise the Lord. Let's move on.
Okay, so 6, 7, 8. You're up, 6, 7, 8.
Hey, Dr. WC. Hey, Yosef. Hey, Shirley. Hey, the Warder. This is Doria. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, my question now I'm going to meet out. My question is from last week. Yosef or anybody, do y'all know about, can you explain to me about the article over 6 months ago about Iran as of Monday obtained a single payment system, and Monday was a holiday for them, and the single payment system went into effect as of last night, I think, or today. I'll meet out, but can you explain that to me? Thank you.
It's simply just Iran's version of the SIPs. It's their portal, their digital transactional portal into the SIP system. They call it something else, just like Russia calls theirs the mirror system, MIR. We might call ours something different here within our banking system. That might be announced. But every country has their own individual portal into the larger system through the blockchain system, the blockchain technology, which follows every transaction from its origin. Literally, it's physical gold or physical tangible asset origin all the way down to the cash and coin of every individual transaction that it ever goes through. So it's followed and traced. And thus, countries have to abide by the GCR rules because their portal will be shut down if they don't. And if you want to participate in the new world, the new financial system, you have to play by the rules. And so Iran is telling you that their currency is coming back online and that they're functioning as an international player again after, 37 years of isolationism since 1980 and all the Western sanctions that were placed on them when the Shah of Iran was overthrown, who, by the way, the Shah of Iran is actually Martin Scorsese's father. Bet nobody saw that one coming. And Martin Scorsese was actually the Illuminati king of Hollywood for a long time. Really dark guy. Go look at a picture of the Shah of Iran that got deposed, and you'll see Martin Scorsese. So, so it's simply just their portal has been reactivated and introduced to the international community, and they're a sovereign nation of financial good standing. And that's what Israel and the Ukraine and even our United States was threatened of not participating in the new financial system. So everybody had to adhere to what the GCR compliance standards were in order to participate, or else their country code or their portal would have been shut off just through the back of the house in Asia, where they housed the system, and they couldn't have sent money. They couldn't have sent money out or received money in through the different satellites. It's a great system if you want to play by the rules and help other people and cause no harm. It's utterly debilitating if you don't. You just literally can't function with the rest of the global community if you don't play by the rules anymore. How about them apples? Okay, show me.
Yep. Okay, 772, you're up. 772.
Good evening, Yosef. How are you?
Oh, so good. There should be three of me. Thank you for asking.
Good. I just wanted to ask you, we had been hearing that ZIM holders would be going to military bases. Is that still going to happen?
In part, yeah. It depends where you are. I mean, it won't all be bases, right? There are not that many bases, but there will be a military component to all the ZIM redemptions just because of the value and because it's a bond and because HSBC is controlling the redemption process now and because HSBC is the ultimate purchaser or redeemer of the currency. So they hold the digital credits that will then transfer into your account. So they've kind of recruited our military and or paying our military to participate in the redemption process for that specific currency or that bond.
Okay. And I'm not sure what to tell the people that I have given some currency to,
Yeah.
as far as what to ask. What should I
give them? What did you give
Well,
them?
most people dong.
Good.
The people
wise.
I give. Pardon me?
That's wise. That's good. That's loving.
I thought it would be the best thing for them. I didn't want to blow somebody's mind by, just giving them, a Zim note. I actually had thought about giving somebody a Zim note and got their gifting letter ready, and then I thought, no, this is going to kill this person. So I changed it. And
that's smart. That's smart of you to do. A lot of us gave Zim before we knew the real value of it, including myself.
Yeah.
So
right.
You're wise to give just the dong out. Now, in terms of, I wouldn't start talking about the sovereign rates again. If people haven't followed it, it's too late for them to try and catch up.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is I'd get them the 800 numbers and say, call this number. They're exchanging. It's a simple currency exchange. Just go ask for the number on the screen, and you'll do great. I wouldn't even tell them how much it is.
Okay.
Just play it off like it's a normal currency exchange, and the value changed, and you're going to make a couple bucks, and go see what it's worth.
And so some of the people that I am going to give this currency to, I haven't given it to them yet because I work with them. And I didn't want everybody at work chattering with each other saying, she's nothing, whatever. So I'm trying to think about the timing of this. Once we, get our information and we set up our phone call or our appointment through the phone call, I'm hoping that I have enough time to distribute this to the people. But if I don't, do you think that would be a problem after we exchange to be able to meet with them and say, look, I really love you. You're great. I want you to have this. Just go and, call this number and they'll take care of you. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, it's a possibility, but I think it's inaccurate given the scope of your wealth. So I'm assuming you have Zim, right? Because you were thinking of gifting Zim? Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so one Zim note will allow you to give as much money to as many people as you want. So to, after the fact, suddenly be handing out dong and explaining things, that might violate your NDA if you choose to take a higher rate. Even if you don't choose to take a higher rate, I don't think you want people knowing just how valuable you suddenly became, and they're not. So the way I would do it is, if you haven't gifted at this point, don't.
Okay.
Or if you're going to gift your dong away or gift your dinar away because you've got Zim and those currencies don't matter, gift it anonymously, put it in a church pew with a little note that says, call this number or go to this bank and redeem it. Don't put your face on it. Don't get your coworkers in a room and say, hey, I'm rich now. How much money do you want?
Yeah, okay.
The exact opposite. What I would do is I would redeem everything. I would put in my 2 weeks notice. I would leave work, and then what I would do is, 2 weeks later, a month later, have an attorney go back to all those coworkers and say, we wanted to give you an anonymous blessing. Thank you so much for your time and friendship over the years. And just let them give them the check.
Okay. Okay. Well, that takes a lot of stress off of me right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't. And put your dong or put your dinar, your Afghani or whatever you bought, and just stick it in a church, basket or, gift it to Children's Hospital with a note, leave it at a fire station anonymously, give it to cops, do something anonymous with it. Don't put your face on it.
Okay.
Don't put your face on it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say I've been listening to you talking about Detroit. God bless you. There's a wonderful temple in Detroit. It's called the I Am Temple. It's a focus of light, and it's an unfed flame for Saint Germain. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's on Columbia. But if you get a chance to drive by there ever, just take a peek in there because it's an amazing.
I'm just looking at it. It says it's on 2nd Avenue. Is that correct?
2nd Columbia. Yep.
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see where it is. It's by the new It's actually by the new hockey stadium that they're building down there.
Yes, and they actually spared it from being torn down. The woman who
and you
was,
like it? This is something you like? This is good? What is it?
It is a place where people can go to worship Saint Germain and the Ascended Masters. Guy W. Ballard, who wrote The Magic Presence, and he was the man who was contacted by Saint Germain in this country, the first person. He and his wife started this Saint Germain Foundation, and there are temples around the country in certain locations that are very, very important. And I've always felt that Detroit was going to come back and be the magnificent unfed flame that it was intended to be by Saint Germain. And so I'm so happy to know that you're going to be involved in that. I love Detroit, and I lived outside of Detroit in Grosse Pointe. I lived in Grosse Pointe, in the farms.
Woods, north, south, where?
Grosse Pointe Park, I'm sorry. I lived in the park. And so I was just 10 streets from Detroit, and, there's quite a difference between those 10 streets.
Yeah.
And,
the east side and Grosse Pointe, Just so people know, Grosse Pointe is one of the wealthiest old money places, if not the wealthiest old money places in all of Metro Detroit. And literally, 5 to 10 blocks away from Grosse Pointe is some of the worst, most abject poverty you could even fathom. And there's what's the street that separates the two? It's kind of like an 8 Mile. What's the
8 Mile? It's
not 8 Mile, but there's a street that separates. Is it St. Albans?
That street is, oh my gosh, it starts with a B. I can't remember it. But
there's an infamous street where literally it's walled off.
Yes, it is. There is a wall there. There is a wall there.
There's literally a wall. I mean,
yep. That's right.
The south is called across the track.
So anyway, we'll get that down. But that's the kind of prison that Detroit has become. They literally, if you've ever seen like the Escape from New York or Escape from L.A. series with Kirk Russell, they should have made an Escape from Detroit, because that's what it's become. And you just wouldn't believe the poverty that's scattered for hundreds of miles in every direction. You just would not believe it.
Yes,
I don't care what you see on TV. I don't care unless you've heard it and seen it and talked to people and heard the stories and seen the devastation and the blight. You can't believe you're living in the United States.
That's right.
Yeah, it's so sad. And so anybody who can contribute to Detroit it's going to be such a blessing. And I do believe it is going to become a magnificent city again.
Yeah, it's French. Detroit means the strait, by the way. That's what it's. The French word Detroit means the strait, and it's the river that runs between Canada and the United States, and it's a very fast, straight river, hence the strait.
Well, thank you. That's all I really had. I appreciate you, and God bless.
Okay, thank you so much. Good questions.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Yosef?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, kind of shed some light on that, about if you're giving money away to family members and stuff, are you planning on doing NDAs with them and stuff like that? So that
what? Come on. How am I going to do an NDA with my cousin? Come on. But he needs money for his family.
So if they're not asking you.
No, here's what we're going to do. My wife's going to handle everything for my family. I won't touch anything. Now, you could do that with an attorney. You could do that with an accountant. But ultimately, my wife's going to handle their family. Some of my family has currency, so it's not going to be a complete shock to them. But I'm going to stay out of it. Nobody's going to come to me for money, and I'm going to go to nobody for money.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. 515, you're up. 515.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
In terms of how we should not expose ourselves. I've heard you talk about that quite a bit. How about if we give somebody $1 million or $5 million to disseminate? How would we structure or help them to not become the face of everybody clamoring on them?
Great question. But what the deeper question there is, or the deeper reality there is, if you give somebody money, it's kind of like having a sexual experience with them, like transfer energy. You become part of them and their reality. Because the last thing you want to do is burden somebody with tremendous wealth and then have them burdened to the point where they're uncomfortable in their lives. So the first and foremost thing you have to do is identify what they're comfortable handling. So you make a blanket statement like it's $1 million or $5 million, and maybe you'll put people in certain pools, right? There'll be $1 million pool, a $5 million pool, a $10 million pool, depending on people's ability to manage money or their history or their education or their emotional sanity or whatever it is, right? Number of kids they have or whatever. But then you have to stick with them. You have to stick with them. You have to. You have to. So if you're going to give somebody money, you don't just get to give somebody money and then disappear unless you're doing all of your giving anonymously. If you give somebody money and they know it's coming from you, you are obligated to spiritually and emotionally help them through whatever challenges they may have. This is why, sir, you make a really good point indirectly, because what you're doing is you're the financing source for their liberation, but also their hopes and dreams, charities, businesses, restaurants. You know what I mean? Whatever they want to do in life, you're there to help.
Right.
But you have projects, too, that you wanted to do. You know, that's probably why you got into it in the first place. And what's going to happen, especially people with Zim, your greatest good to the world becomes as a financing source, not as a project doer. Because of the amount of money that you have. So what you're doing is you're constantly setting up people in their own philanthropic franchise.
Right.
Right? And then you become the steward and or the grandparent to the other parents that are running around helping other people.
Right.
And I want everybody to start thinking of themselves this way with a top-down approach. The RV's already happened. We already have the money. We're settled in the reality that there's a lot of it, and we got to keep giving. If you give out 10 of those $1 million, $5 million, $10 million little bonuses, and your name's on it, and they know it's coming from you, you become their philanthropic and to some degree spiritual steward, because they're going to be confused. What you've done by giving somebody $1 million, $5 million, $10 million is you've eliminated not only their debts and their burdens in the short term, but you've also wiped out their understanding of money, work. You'll get them confused about their value in the world now, because suddenly they're much more valuable than they were, and they technically haven't really done anything for it other than be your friend or your cousin or you know what I mean? You're going to screw up their construct of how the world really works. Because now they don't have to go work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week to make the same amount of money. In fact, quite the opposite. Now they're in an ability to go help other people and give away money through your mechanism. That's disturbing.
My concern is, how do I help them not to be the target of people looking at them as, you know, gimme, 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 gimme?
You just don't give them too much too quickly. And you let it breathe. Give them enough money to get their bills paid. Instead of giving them $1 million, give them $100,000. See how they do with it. And if they do all right, you know, give them some more. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't. I know you have it to give away. Trust me, I know you have it to give away.
Right.
I know you have a lot more than that to give away. But just because you have all these zeros in the account, that doesn't mean they understand anything in their world changed. To them, it's still just Sunday, where on Saturday you got all this money. They don't know. So by giving them even $100,000, you're burdening them, but at least you're limiting their burden to something that they can somewhat manage in their heads.
Okay.
And then slowly work them up the ladder depending on how they handle it. It's think of it like working out. You wouldn't put 300 pounds on a barbell and say, go get them. You'd start people out with 30 pounds, and then 35 pounds, and then 40. You know what I mean?
Right.
You'd work out their muscles slowly. And then some people will say, you know what, I can do 130 pounds. I don't need to do 30. I'm much stronger than that. So you start people off where their fitness level or their belief level or their spiritual level is at, and then work them up accordingly. Everybody will be different. So lumping people into categories is tricky.
I like your idea of asking them how much they want to attempt to use.
Well, you want to take care of their basic needs and their debt. That would be a great blessing to say, I'd like to take out all your debt. I got an inheritance. I'd like to take out your debt. Let's start there.
Right.
And then if they come back and they say, well, I'd like to do some other stuff. Is there a possibility? I think the way to approach that is to say, look, I'm in the business of helping people. I'm not for profit. I'm not looking to do things the way they've been done. I'm looking to get mercy out to the world. If you're interested in helping other people, I will make sure you get what you need, because I want other people to get what they need. But I need facilitators that'll go out in the world and do that. So just by how you're giving the money, what the mandates are for giving the money, you might be, in essence, coaching them the right direction just by your structure. You know what I mean? It's like, I will give you more money if you're giving it away to other people, and you can take a percentage of it. Give them a job, if you will. Give them a franchise of your philanthropy. Now, your interest might be food and children and seniors, and their interests might be, municipal gardens and education and medicine to the poor. Let them go do that. And then be there as a confidant, as a steward, as a consigliere, and just talk to them about how it's going. And listen to them. And put them with other people doing similar things. Coordinate some sort of safe haven where people can come and talk about their philanthropic dreams, their problems, their aspirations, how hard it is to disperse money, how to recognize where to do it. Like, you become the group leader for a massive philanthropic endeavor by holding one Zim note. So if you hold multiple Zim notes, will God help you? Then you become an international situation.
That's setting up an agency to provide the consulting service sounds good.
Yep. Look, that's one thing. Now, some people might want to specialize in one area, which is great. And they should do that. But just understand, if you really want to, the best coach teams are the player coach teams, not the coach teams. So you have to empower people, allow them to fail a little bit, but structure it in a way so they can only fail so much so they don't completely go off the rails. Don't give the 25-year-old $10 million. Give the 25-year-old $10,000 to start. Go give this away. And I'll give you $10,000 if you can go give $10,000 away. They go do it. You write them a check. Would you like to do more? Yeah, I'd like to do more. That was fun. Okay, $50,000. Go give it away, and I'll give you $50,000. You see how fun that could be? But you're also training them. You're training them. It's a good way to train your kids too, by the way. Is you're training them in philanthropy. Now you know how much money you have. You know what the capacity would be if they really got into it. But you're interning them in mercy just by the structure of how you're giving. And you're making them work for it in a way and giving them great joy and teaching them that service is joy and joy is service. again, we're just talking concepts here. I'm not demanding anything of anyone. I'm just saying there's creative ways to help friends and family, people that we see in the community that are good people that just would love a career change. There's ways to create jobs. There's ways to start businesses. There's ways to help municipalities. There's ways to help seniors. There's ways to help children. There's ways to stay anonymous. There's ways to, if you need a little bit of attention and notoriety, there's ways to get that without getting too much. And there are some people out there that will need to be global leaders in this movement and be seen. Like Dr. WC needs to be seen now. She's done the anonymous thing. It's time for her to be seen. And some people have that pathway. You are responsible. So. Well, good luck. You are responsible for, because I've already seen it, you are responsible, sir, for what your soul covenant is to God and achieving that. But by the same token, you're also responsible for everybody else recognizing their soul covenant and seeding it and watering it and nurturing it so that they become closer to God through the ability of your resource. You're really starting a ministry that has an economic component that's pretty powerful, but it's a ministry is what you're starting. You're drawing people closer to God and encouraging that through philanthropy.
Okay. Yeah, I was concerned how to protect
pressure.
them. I know. I was just concerned how to protect them.
Yeah,
how to help them be anonymous.
Just go slow. Just go slow.
All right.
Some people you meet won't want to be anonymous and shouldn't be anonymous. You know, we need leaders. We need people you can believe in. We need heroes. We need angels. Some of the angels you can see, some of them you can't. You just have to identify it correctly. And take the time and really care to identify who can do what and why. But once you give a nickel to somebody, just know they're going to come back. So you're going to have to be with them long term. And if you don't really want to be with those people long term, do an anonymous gift. Do it through an attorney, through an accountant, and just give an anonymous gift. That way you bless them, but what you're saying is you're not really ready yet to absorb the responsibility of what I can offer.
Thank you.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Okay, Yosef, next question is 404. You're up, 404.
Hi, Yosef.
Aloha.
Can you hear me?
Like a bell. 5 on 5.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Oh, I can now. Hi. Yosef. What's the rate on the Zim now? I haven't heard you talk.
Why do you ask? Why do you ask? Why do you ask?
Well, because it's almost time to go exchange, and I need to know what to say.
No. You don't need the rate. You know, your biggest problem is not the rate. You're looking at the transaction. You what do you think the rate is? What's the last rate you've heard?
125.
It's double that.
Oh,
or
okay.
Almost. Okay, but that's not why you're calling.
It's
That's not why you're calling. No. What's your real question? Come on,
I forgot
dig deep.
it.
Come on.
I forgot it.
What's your spiritual question? What's your soul question for me? What's your greatest hope? Your greatest fear? Go to an end. Go to a place that might scare you.
Just having creative ways of dispersing the money, and how to. I have a couple of ideas, but I know I need more than a couple of ideas.
That's okay. What are your ideas? Tell us your ideas, so that maybe we can do them in our own little world. Might help a few people out there.
Well, the one idea that I had was like, I'm a little nervous. The one idea that I have was like having people call in, like, for a contest.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they on a radio program, they'll have people call in, enter in, you send a letter in and, just talk about what you would do if you had so much money or something like that, and have them write in and talk about, what they would do if they had $10,000, say, and just have them write their name and address or phone number, tell a little bit about themselves, and then everybody is thinking that they're going to win the contest, but everybody's going to get the money.
Oh,
that's
kind of cool. That's kind of fun.
So that was what I thought about.
They do that with parking tickets. They invite people to come get free, like, Yankees tickets, and then everybody shows up, and they all are delinquent, felons or something. They all get arrested. It's pretty funny. You're doing it the opposite way, which is kind of fun. All right, but you're staying anonymous, right? It's being handled through a radio station or an attorney, and it's all good, right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
Raises the vibration.
My second option was doing it through a foundation. Let them give the money away. People, write in about what their needs are and have them to disperse the money. But
what would be interesting is if you had kids write in and saying, if you had all the money in the world, who would you bless with the money and why? And you let a foundation handle it, right? Or a radio station or whatever. And you get their names and contact information. And you bless everybody the children bless.
That's a good idea. But I'm working on some more ideas.
Yeah, but I like the creativity. I think we're all going to need to get really creative because clearly we have a lot of resource that we need to disperse. So any good idea that raises the vibration of people and gets people thinking philanthropically in service is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Just be careful you don't create a public riot,
Uh-huh.
Do it smart.
Okay.
Do it smart.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Okay, great stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, sister. God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, Yosef, the next caller is, I was going to comment on that when you were talking to that lady there about the rates and stuff, Yosef. I had somebody phone me today on that, and, and they were talking the numbers that they, what should I take? And I said, well, you better surrender and decide that way. And I said, let me give you an example. So I punched the numbers into, I've built a program that calculates structured payout and, after taxes on the structured payout and everything. And I said, these are the type of numbers. And I said, it's even hard to fathom those numbers. And that always bothers me sometimes when people say, well, I should, take a sovereign rate. And I said, well, do you know what that is? Well, no. And I said, well, until you search for that, I don't know if that's the idea you should do. You're going to have to pray when you go in there, and you're going to have to ask God for your guidance when you walk in that door, because that's the only way you'll know what's right.
Right. I'm actually choosing not to decide. I'm going to let my people that are doing the banking decide for me, which I think is pretty funny. I'm going to let God. I'm going to put God on their heart.
Yeah, exactly.
because I'm okay with any number I get at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I'm getting that I'm going to be able to accomplish everything that my covenant was, and I'll let them place the decimal, where the number is. But I'm not going to be anxious over it because I know I have everything that I need. I know how we got to this, and I know what the real work is. It's not a transactional, matter. It's a transitional matter. So I've tried to give all that away and not decide and just let it happen as it happens. Now if I had Dinar or Dong and it was a smaller number, maybe I'd be a little bit more rate conscious. But with the Zim, there's no reason to get upset ever about any of it. In fact, it shows a lack of spiritual understanding, the more anxiety over it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if she asks the rate, she deserves another rate. She deserves, it's fluctuated between somewhere over $2 and $2.30, and it's been bouncing a little bit, but ultimately that's what they're coming out at. We think if it comes out, we never thought it'd get to this high. We never thought we'd be in 2017 redeeming our ZIM either. So, who knows what we'll redeem at in terms of the screen rate.
Okay, well, the next caller will go 772. You're up, 772.
Hi, Yosef. I asked you a question a few minutes ago, but something came back to my memory that I have to do tomorrow. And this week, I went out and bought a car, and I felt very led to do this. And it was kind of a God thing because I had really no intentions of doing it, but I did. And I thought, well, if I do this, this shows the universe that I believe that this is happening and it's going to happen soon. And when I went there, they paired me up with a young man who took a look at my paperwork, and his face went white, ashen. He looked at this and he said, "Oh my God, Wells Fargo has been charging you 9.95% on your car loan. This is unconscionable." And so with that, this guy just bent over backwards to help me, and my heart just opened up to him. He's very young, just moved to our area from another state with his wife and children, and they're building a home. And I said, I really believe that things are going to happen in a great way for our economy, and you guys are going to be really busy. And I said, as a matter of fact, I believe that we're going to see a gold-backed currency in the United States. And his eyes just lit up, almost as if he knew what I was saying was true. And so it got into sort of a more open discussion, and he told me that his father had currency, but he didn't know much about it. So I told him about it. And by the end of the whole session with him, and when I got my car and I knew I was going to be driving out with this car, and they did incredible things for me, I called my bank, and I talked to my banker, and I said, I want $1 million dong. And she said, okay, I'll get back to you, and I can pick it up tomorrow. And I told him I was going to give that to him to help him understand what this is about, and to show him that I was very grateful. What do you think about that? I've got to go pick up the money tomorrow, and I've got to go out there because they're going to put a coating on my car tomorrow. So
what I'm picking up is you maybe want to look at him as a potential somebody you might want to work with because of his morality. What he's demonstrated to you is a morality.
Yes.
And a sense of justice. And you need people like that, especially people that are in their 20s, because those are the ones that are going to carry the heavy lifting in terms of the mercy work. And they won't be as judgmental.
Yeah.
How old is
he? He's 38.
Oh, well, same difference.
He's still.
But yeah, he's still somebody with many decades of mercy work ahead of him. Remember, guys, you're recruiting philanthropists. You're recruiting. You're enrolling people in your vision of service as a career.
Well,
so I would go back and say, listen, if this works and it all works out, we can have a discussion about some other things as well. But I just wanted you to participate, see it like an entry into the event, and potentially maybe an opportunity to become friends or do something else philanthropically together.
So
don't give him Zim. Don't give.
You don't think I should? No, it wasn't Zim. It was Dong.
That's fine. Yeah.
So don't do it. Just hold it back.
No, you can do it, but just do it with a purpose.
Yeah.
He already knows who you are. You've already had the conversation. There's already an understanding of currency.
Well,
just say thank you for helping me. It's just a gift, and just thank you.
And he really has said, I want to take you out for dinner, and I want to know, I want to know what you understand. I think you could help me, but I think he could help the world. I really perceive that he has a really wonderful heart.
Right. So you're recruiting him to live a life of service. You know the money's there. and you're giving him a taste of the experience instead of bounding him to getting a fee, like a monthly fee. You're liberating him financially because you're paying off all of his debts, right, with just $1 million.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not overburdening him in a short period of time to where he's obsessed with it and can't function.
Right.
Which is the responsible thing at this stage of the game. So, yeah, go give him the $1 million. He'll be able to see the screen rate, at the bank, right?
Yeah.
When it changes.
Yeah.
And just say thank you and give him your number. And if you want to know more, after the event, call me. And we'll go have coffee.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay. God bless.
God bless.
Okay, next caller, 334. You're up, 334.
Hello.
Hello.
This is JJ.
Hey, JJ.
This has to do with generational blessings. When I got involved in this, I had the vision of knowing that, I could never, I didn't believe I could really outlive all of the money, especially knowing how valuable the Zim notes are.
Right.
And I have 3 sons who are all married and have married into wonderful families who their in-laws have really nurtured my sons. And my question is, I've got A and B. Which way I want to bless. I want to bless those families, the ones that have really blessed my sons.
Right.
At a time when I wasn't able to step in some things, and those dads stepped into my sons' lives. So either I can, they all know that I own currency. My sons have told me, Mother, they think, Mother, we all know you're crazy. So the word that's come back to me is that they know. So I can either go with that presumption that they know and bless them directly, or B, because I have blessed my sons with Zim notes, let them be responsible to turn and bless those.
Yeah, I would empower your son. If they've shown you their face in terms of their disbelief in what you believe in, it shows that they're not vibrating at the same level. So for you to come and invade their space with a big checkbook is going to insult them.
Okay.
But, however, if you bless your sons abundantly and they bless their families, that would be more acceptable to them. They would understand that better. And they would actually give you more credit for showing restraint and not embarrassing them.
That is so true. That is so true. And, I believe with 2 Zim notes each, they'll have enough to.
Right. And just empower your sons to go do their own thing in the world and just help them like you've always helped them, right? Just give them what they need and encourage them.
Yeah, I've watched with the careers that they've had as they've moved from one to the other, and the skills that God has been teaching them. I am absolutely amazed at seeing how God is going to utilize them.
Yeah. They're going to lead their own tribes.
Oh.
But that being said, you are the epicenter for all their resource. Don't give them too much before they've earned it. Make your sons earn. Make your son pay off their debts. Give them enough to buy a new house and take care of their families for generations. But don't give them the bulk of the philanthropic monies until they've earned their way up the ladder.
Exactly. That is the reason I did gift them the notes, 2 Zimbabwe notes.
Well, you kind of already did it, sister. You already kind of did it. I mean, they won't need you.
I didn't know at the time, though, that it was going to be that valuable.
I know. Neither did I. Nobody did.
It was a gesture to try to figure out what to do. And
then you have other problems. You've already blessed all the families, and your job is to keep them spiritualized and keep focusing them back on God.
And that is what I've been doing.
Yeah. And
because
that's
I know what job is ahead for them. I know that.
Right.
Because what I own is much more. And I'm looking for the people, whether it be family or not, to be able to carry forth this message.
Right.
It's got to be. It's got to be. Thank you, Yosef. I won't take up any more time, but thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Bye.
Hello? Show me? Show me? Anybody? Bueller? Hello?
I apologize. Show me took a little break. I did call 2 callers, but they didn't hear me, so I guess they left. 440. Uh-oh. I hit the wrong button. 440, come back in. 320.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, Clifton from California. Are we still going to be burdened with this? When we talk about blessing people and living here in California is so expensive, if we're giving people $200,000 and $300,000, are they going to have to pay half of that as gift taxes? How is that? I know we talked about the tax laws changing, but that may be a year from now. So.
Well, but it would be retroactive to January 1st. So
hopefully we won't be limited to that 14,000.
Right. No, we won't. There's other ways around that. You can give people loans and just not.
Okay. You're right.
Collect.
That's so true. So yeah. Okay, I was just concerned about that because I was just wondering would I have to double what I had planned to bless a person because they would have to pay maybe 30 or 40% taxes or something as a gift.
Okay. All right.
But if that's
I wouldn't worry about tax. Listen, pay the tax. It's a gift. You're getting an enormous sum of money to give away. Don't worry about the taxation.
Okay then. Great. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening.
Okay, brother. All right. Just so everybody knows, I'm going to stay on the call till midnight, and then I have to vamoose. So if there's a special guest that wants to come and join us before midnight, feel free to jump on the host line.
440.
Hello, Dr. WC.
Well, hey.
How are you?
Doing good, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I think I am anyway.
How you are?
I tried to get in the other night, but I don't know what happened. You I don't know. But anyway, I got 2 questions about our exchange. When we exchange, is it better to have them set up a trust for you, or have a trust already in
Do you have a trust already in place?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, then you don't really have an option. You'll have to set one up while you're there, which is not a problem. They're completely equipped to do that. If some of the people out there do have a trust that is existing, I would encourage everybody to take that trust in and then talk to the bankers and the exchange lawyers about what the best strategy of creating a new trust or using an existing trust.
Uh-huh. Okay, and that sounds now on the Zim.
Mm-hmm.
Are they taking how many zeros are they taking away from it?
Why would they take away zeros?
Well, that's what I've been hearing over the years.
But why would they take away zeros?
I don't know. They'll make it. Well, what is it? Because the Zim is a very high note.
Right, the high face value. You're saying they would take zeros off the face value, but you can't take away zeros off of something that exists. It exists, right? If it says $100 trillion, you have to redeem 100 trillion of something.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether there's going to be zeros added to the rate to make the rate infinitesimally small. But the reality is we know what the rates of the ZIM are. We know it's over $2. So that there is no zeros being added or subtracted. It's just a straight redemption.
Wow. That's beautiful to know.
Mm-hmm.
Roger, where have you been?
What is what now?
Where have you been?
Roger, don't let her get up on you like that. Don't slap her back. Slap her back.
If I had my harmonica, I'd play a tune for her.
I actually haven't even heard you coming into the line. So where?
Well, I came in the other night, but I got dropped.
Well, you're here. Yeah, that was me. Just a few minutes ago, I was taking
No,
over.
No, not
so
tonight.
You got back in. Oh no, that wasn't me then.
No, this is the other night, and I tried to get back in, but it was closed.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
I haven't run away.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Question. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Thank
What
you,
about are they going to tax us, or what would be the best phrase to? Perhaps
it's not a taxable event.
It's not.
It's a tax-free event. Yeah. Where have you been, Roger?
I've been on the moon. Town. I've been here. I was trying to get to the moon to see what was going on up there and look over the world, but I said, no, that's too far away from me.
It's not even real. It's not even real. Don't worry about it. But thank you for your questions, though. Appreciate it.
I'm still here, though. I'm still here.
All right, then. Bye.
When is this thing supposed to go over? When is this thing supposed to go over?
We've already kind of answered that, Roger. We're going to cut you off and limit you to 2 questions, okay?
Okay. I have no problem.
God bless you, brother. God bless you.
Other
people are waiting.
Good. And you too, Dr. WC.
Yes.
All of you.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.
832.
I want to party with Roger. That's fun.
Yes, this is a lady in Texas, and I have a couple of questions.
Well, hello, lady in Texas. Do you have a name?
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to say it because I'm.
Can you give your middle name?
I don't have one.
Can you give your nickname?
Steel Magnolia.
Perfect. All right, Steel Magnolia, go for it.
Okay. I actually want to kind of tail on what that man just asked because I wasn't on the first of the call, so that will be my first question of 2. And that is, do we have any idea when? Because I didn't hear anything about that. Are you saying?
We are anticipating at any moment. We do not know the final day and time, but we know there is a hard time, and they're moving towards it at light speed.
Okay. All right, then. My second question is, I have been in this for 9 years, and I in 9 years have not been able to answer this for myself. So I'm listening tonight thinking, okay, maybe you've got some wisdom that I can gain. I have a brother and sister who are, like so much of our family, they just have lived in cubby holes. They've never had a vision. They've never done anything for anybody. They're still working, in their late 60s. And they need retirement money, and I want to help them, but they're never going to do anything for anybody else. And I don't really. I want. I'm telling you.
I don't know. You're sure shutting them out. I'll tell you that. You don't know.
All my life, and they don't do anything but take care of themselves. Seriously, I'm telling you. I'd love to see it happen, but is it my job to make that happen?
It's not your job, but what I want you to do is stay open to the possibility.
Well,
it's not necessarily that it. Look, one of them might come over and one of them might not. But if you're not open to both of them coming over, you'll shut them both out.
Well, there's not much relationship there because we're very different.
I know, but what an opportunity! But what an opportunity to have a relationship.
That's kind of the way I've tried to look at it, and I'm a forgiving person. I'm telling you, I want to bless them. They don't have any retirement. Do I just set up an annuity and just make it, a good little retirement for them, or?
Well, first of all, you have to. It's brother and sister, so you have to encounter them, right? You can't just.
Yeah, I really do.
You can't anonymously send them money. It's a jerk thing to do. So just come up to them and say, listen, I've had some blessings in my life. I wanted to share them with you, no strings attached. I just wanted you to have some retirement money or, $10,000 a month to play with and just enjoy. And just leave it at that. And then if they come back to you, they'll take that, right? They need it. They'll take that.
Yeah.
And then if they come back to you and say, how did all this happen? What's going on? How did you do this? What? And you just say, there was some major changes in the world. I was aware of them. I got in 10 years ago. I'm doing really good, and now I'm really focused on philanthropy and helping other people kind of help other people. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I want to help other people. Okay. How do you want to help other people? I haven't seen you help many people in your lifetime, so maybe I'm missing it.
You are missing it because I got relatives just like her.
And maybe there's something buried deep in their heart that suddenly, because their bills are paid and they're not worried about retirement, and they got it from a family member, they now trust, and they say, Steel Magnolia, sister of mine, I've always wanted to help people that were in wheelchairs or that had family members that were in wheelchairs because there's something in my heart about that. Is there any way that you can help me help them? Well, sure.
Yeah, I would do that in a minute.
Of course you would. But the point is they would then enroll themselves in their own ascending career, soul ascending career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to govern them. You wouldn't govern them. You just say, listen, you tell me what you want to do. You organize it, get a couple pieces of paper, and I'll get the funding together when you're ready, and we'll just talk about it.
Well, that would be awesome if they actually thought of somebody else. That would just be awesome.
They once the pressure of not having to worry about surviving is off of most people, they will think about other people. I just really want to encourage everybody to keep their heart open for their brothers that have gone astray, or their sisters, or their wives, or their kids, or their employers or best friends. I mean, I had a college athletics teammate that left me recently because he just couldn't wait on the RV anymore, and I just so desperately want to work with him because I know he's just an amazing person, and I'm just opening my heart that he'll come back after the event. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. But I'm going to keep my heart open for everybody. Everybody.
Well, then, yeah, me too. So, well, then, are you thinking that just a monthly annuity of some sort that's really generous would
not too generous. Not too generous. Look at it like morphine and build it up over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
You can add to the principle of that. Just something that they can handle that won't be too intimidating, but it'll get them started.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Oh, I've waited a long time to think about this. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, to get a picture to this.
Do not give up on anybody until their last breath.
I won't. It's just sad, but thank you.
No, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
It's not sad. It's a blessing that we even have this opportunity to be able to reach back and maybe develop old relationships that we thought were dead, and not only are not dead, but they could be grown and strengthened and amaze us in their love and compassion and sincerity and attachment. We just don't know what his plan is. We have to stay open to it.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is surrendering our ego and what we think should happen versus just being flexible and reading the energies inside of us and them. It's hard. Okay. I'm not saying it's easy.
Well, no, but it's not. I'm not. I would love to give them a third, and a third. I would love to do that, but it would
No, they don't need that. No, you know what they want? They want to know that their sister even if she got rich, thought of them, but didn't impose her will on them.
Yeah, that's right. That is true.
And then let them, like a little scared kitty cat, come to you when they're ready.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Just, if I can attach one brother to another sister, or one wife back to their husband, or one husband back to their wife in all of this, or one family member, one child back to their parent, or one neighbor back to their person they live next to, by just encouraging people to keep their heart open, it's a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm open to miracles happening in everybody's life that's listening to this call, and even those that aren't. I'm opening my heart up to miracles I never even thought were even possible. Did anybody think we would ever have the entire central banking system rid of the cabal, and the Zim would be par for par, face value over $2?
No.
No. We never thought that. And now it's just, we assume it as though it's nothing.
I remember hearing
20 years ago. Because so
I'm
many
sorry.
people on the line, baby.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck. Stay open. Keep your heart open.
I will.
Go slow. Okay. Go slow. Take it slow with them.
All right.
254. Thank you. 254.
Yes, hello. Yes, Yosef, I was wanting to know, like I heard you say a while ago, giving people so much and say, go give this away. But do they just give it away to anybody, or that they see
Well,
fit?
I think one of the things you have to realize, if you don't give them too much money, or you say, give it away in $1,000 increments or $5,000 increments or $10,000 increments, if you put some governors on it or some clamps on it, they'll do what you ask them to do in order to get their money. So you can kind of govern their activity just by, limiting the way the gift is given. But all you're doing is really training them. They're training wheels on the larger philanthropy, and if they do well with the training wheels, then take the training wheels off and get them a bike. And if they do well with the bike, get them a scooter. And if they do well with the scooter, get them a little motocross. If they do well with that, get them a Harley. You know what I mean? Take them up the ladder.
But like I have a daughter that, of course, she doesn't believe in this. She thinks I'm living in a fantasy world. But if I bought her a house, would that be I can do that?
Where does she live in a house now, or does she live in an apartment?
She rents.
Okay. Well, my suggestion is pay the rent off for the rest of the year. Do you see my point? Don't rush her into a house.
Okay.
Pay her debts off. Pay her school loans off. Pay her credit card debts off. Pay her car. Pay the existing car off. Don't get her a new car.
Okay.
Do you see my point?
Uh-huh.
Take them slow. You have the money. You have time. You don't have to flood people with your wealth, your consciousness, your education, your knowledge, your energy, your enthusiasm. It'll overwhelm them.
Okay.
Take them slow. Take them where they're at. Calm your breath down. Calm your spiritual, cheerleader down long enough to sit with people where they're at, and just get them to the very next place. And every time they get to that place and they're comfortable, take them to the next place, the next rung of the ladder. Don't shoot them up to the top of the ladder before they even know there's even a ladder there to climb.
Okay. Well, my other question was, I heard today that we won't get our blessing until they pass this health care bill. Is that true?
Maybe. It's looking that way. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping the special guest comes on before midnight tonight. We're waiting for you to come on. Wink, wink, hint, hint. If they come on before midnight, we'll know.
Oh, okay.
I'll be able to answer that in 6 minutes.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Well, thank you. I'll let you go to the next caller.
Okay.
320.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Question for you, Yosef. I was thinking about, maybe 10, 15 people that I wanted to get into kind of a group that I'd like to work with and trying to ease them into it. And I was just thinking if a person just give them like say $10,000 or something like that, and then ended up having them listening to the Real Truth calls in the archives, maybe the last 50 hours or something like that there, get their mindset and what we've learned over the past, 2-3 years?
Well, would that be enough to get them over the hump? The question is why weren't they listening in the first place?
Good question.
and the reason I ask that is because then it feels to me like you're trying to force your knowledge base on them, and there's something about their thought adjusters or their angels or their spirits that are not bending them in that direction, but they bent you in that direction. That's why you have currency and they don't. Right? That there's something about your covenant with God that is different about theirs. My suggestion is instead of you trying to have them follow your pathway, sit with them, be patient enough to listen to them, and get them to start moving in a direction that is more their covenant with God than maybe they're going now. And then keep them on that path. Keep them going closer to God. Keep them listening to God. Keep them in appreciation and in gratitude and in service. And then just stick with them. Versus making them listen to the Real Truth Call or making them read books or making them listen to this video or that YouTube,
I just thought it would
not
be a
for
way
everybody.
Right. I know it's not, and it was just a thought that I thought, well, I'd just get your suggestion on it. I thought maybe that
the way I would approach it is this way. I came into some money. I saw an investment. It happened for me. I came through, and I want to bless you. And they'll say, well, how did you do it? What happened? And you'll say, well, I listened to this, and this. And if you want to hear it, here's the links, and it's archived. But this is what I did. Instead of, you offer it, you don't force it on them.
Sure.
And see what they do. There might be a couple out of that 10 or 15 that do listen to everything. Absolutely. And they'll surprise you, and they'll get it. They're like, I always knew that's what it was. I always knew it.
Yeah.
But the majority of them will not listen because they didn't listen before this, and I'm sure you were talking about it a lot before this.
Yeah, over the last 7 years, it's been, and I just thought, we learned so much on the Real Truth Calls, and you and Fisher and Show Me and Dr. WC, the whole works. It's been an honor listening, and just thought it would be maybe catch them up to speed, so to say. That just whatever.
If they're not there already, there's a reason, and it's not that they can't get there or won't get there. It's just that you need to focus on what your covenant is and do that, versus trying to force everybody up to your learning speed.
Sure. All right. Appreciate the answer. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Take people where they're at. Last question.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This will be a real quick question for you. A couple of calls back, and I don't know exactly how long, perhaps 6 months ago, you told us a wonderful way that you were going to answer the question, where did you get the money, where did it come? And it was something about your Heavenly Father's gift or a father's legacy, something of that nature.
I do. Although I'm being shown to tell you what my wife is going to say.
All right.
But I'll answer that. So I asked my wife, how are you going to explain all this money to our family or friends or people that ask? And she'll say, I have no idea. Talk to my husband. That's her response, and I thought it was genius. So she puts it all on me. So
I don't have a spouse I can do that with.
No. I'm just, for those that have spouses, I was just being playful. In terms of answering your question, dear, the response I have is I surrendered my life to God, and God gave me the inheritance of Christ.
Okay.
And I now work for Christ in philanthropy, in helping other people.
Okay.
That's pretty much how I'm going to answer it. That this is the wealth of God.
Sure is.
Because, well, what other explanation? By the way, that's not being spiritual. That's just speaking the truth. Who else would give me this kind of money? Who else would give me this kind of responsibility? I haven't earned this. I've asked to steward it and disperse it, but I haven't cured cancer. I haven't done anything that is a book that's sold around the world. I haven't written Harry Potter. I mean, I'm just a guy that was looking to do some philanthropy and tried to find an instrument to get me there, and it ended up being this. I didn't flip the financial system. I didn't throw out the cabal. I didn't sit on top of tangible assets for 500 years. I'm a recipient of the promise of God, as are we all. And I have no embarrassment about saying that. Now, that being said, just understand one thing. I have been in banks, in big meetings, in big situations saying I'm here representing Christ. I've come out and said that to start the meeting. And if anybody has a problem with that, please let's end it here. Let's end it early. Because I'm a representative of Christ. I mean, I have come out and said that and looked like a complete idiot in front of really serious banking people. And if you want to know why Yosef is Yosef or why I might be answering questions, it's because I've done that. I've lived that. So when people ask you where you got your money and you tell them that you're, a steward or disciple of Christ in life and you're here to serve the master, you're setting precedent for your organization and who you work with and why. And I want everybody to be very bold in how they understand this from a spiritual place. We don't have to get into the transaction aspect of it. We don't have enough time. You don't have enough attention span to listen to how and why all this money generated. But if I tell you that I surrendered my life to God, and God, this is what God gave me in return, was the ability to help people in abundance, because I gave everything to God, and so God gave me everything back through Christ, I'm not making stuff up. I'm telling you the truth of my life. And if you reject me, you're rejecting Christ. And it's better that we end the relationship there than move forward. Because at least I've shown you my real face. Doesn't violate an NDA either, by the way. Does it? You're still with me, ma'am?
No, she's not.
Okay. Well,
sister,
I'm pretty serious. I'm pretty serious about that. Well, I'm pretty serious about that stuff because so often we go into business situations or we go into everyday situations and we don't mention our love for God, or we don't mention our commitment, or we don't mention our surrender, or we don't mention the Master's name at all, let alone in reverence. In fact, quite the opposite. You'll hear so many, anti-Christ type of terms or slang. Always hits me like a dagger when I hear stuff like that.
I've done it for years, and whenever I go into a meeting, I always say, Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place, and whether they like it or not, that's just too bad.
But sister, you and I share that. Seen the questions on the call. And what I want to offer to the audience is that if you're willing to go that deep into Christ and really give him everything, he will give you infinity back.
Acknowledge him in all your ways. That's right. Did you want to finish hearing from her? He's still in the queue.
Finish who?
Miss Patty.
Tank, is Tank still here?
No, the last caller.
Oh, no, I think we've answered it, but that was a good question. This is the inheritance of the Heavenly Father, of God, I got it because I surrendered my life to Christ. That's what I'll tell people, and that's what I'll tell my Jewish friends, and I've already told them that, but anybody new. I have no problem everybody equating me to Christ in terms of what they're going to get whenever they talk to me. I've accepted the reality of that I'm not going to appeal to everybody because of it, including people in my own family who are not believers. It's just my truth. It's my truth. That's what happened. I was searching for a way to help cities, and I gave my life to Christ, and this is what he gave me back. I think that would be true for almost everybody on the call. Mm-hmm. We were searching for a way to get out of this nonsense and to become our own financial sources, and we prayed like crazy to do it. And here we are. I think we can all basically have the same story. Mm-hmm. We took different routes in getting there, but it was all surrender. We all kept praying. We all kept believing. And there is no higher form in the history of mankind than Yeshua ben Yosef, the Nazarene from Galilee. There is no higher love. It just hasn't existed. If you can show me one, please do. I'm all ears. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm preaching now.
Buddha, did you have something? I see you came in. Press star 6.
Or if you would like to do it in Espanol, press star 7. In German, star 8.